All right.
That's my aunt.
Everybody's sound is fine.
We're good. Everything's good.
Mine works.
Don't change any of the controls, Gene. It sounds great.
All right.
We're set. Let us know when you're ready.
Pizza.
What?
That mic is blaring.
You ready, Gino?
We're recording and you're recording. You're
Okay,
good.
go
That
ahead.
wasn't Mike, that was Gino.
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. Strap in. You're about to listen to The Animal House.
You're nothing but an animal.
Your mother's an animal.
Chew your food, you're an animal.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
They're animals anyway, so let them move their souls.
I am not an animal.
You are an animal.
We are all animals, my lady.
I'm not an animal.
What do you care? You're an animal. You're an animal.
Yeah.
I'm an animal.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
I feel the need for speed.
Ramming speed!
The opinions expressed by the hosts, callers, and guests are not those of Hamilton Radio, Armed Forces Radio, Raw Talk Online, 102 DLG Radio Orlando, QStarFM.com, or Animal House Radio. Some of the material broadcast on Animal House Radio may not be suitable for listeners under the age of 18. Listener discretion is advised.
When I fall asleep, I'll meet you in my dreams. Where reality is really not what it seems. The night will end at daybreak. I'll be gone. You know it's always darkest before the dawn. If I should die before I awaken, pray my soul will not be forsaken. If I should die before I awaken, pray my soul will not be forsaken. Like a falling star, I think I've fallen for you. In the dead of night is where your light shines through. I will make a wish and keep concealed. I know it won't come true if it's revealed. If I should die before I awaken, pray my soul will not be forsaken. If I should die before I awaken,
10 seconds.
pray my soul will not be forsaken.
My mother was a witch! Oh, Christ, you and I are brothers?
Live from the Theodore Jenkins Studio in downtown Robbinsville, New Jersey. It is the Animal House Radio Show, and here is your host and ours, Carlo Valerio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Animal House Radio Show. We are very, very excited tonight. We have some great in-studio guests, an old friend and a newcomer, and we're going to meet them.
A newcomer?
A newcomer,
Wow,
yeah.
is this a porno show? What the hell?
Yes, that's
That explains the fresh smell of the sperm.
Why the floors are sticky.
this is the after-hours version.
Yeah. Is he ambidextrous?
There you go.
No, but I noticed there's no lumps in it, so it must be new.
Rice balls.
But we have two very special celebrity guests joining us. One in about 10 minutes. You may remember him from the Jack in the Box commercials on TV. Rodney Allen Rippey, he's going to check in with us what he's doing now, and he's doing a lot of great things with veterans. He's going to tell us all about that. So that's going to be really cool. Then at 8:45, we have Joyce DeWitt, who played Janet Wood on Three's Company.
Yeah.
And if she would, then that would be good. But
Oh, that'll entice her to
I don't know if she did, but maybe she would. But we're gonna and we have
Yeah.
Yeah, right. In studio guest Steve Cavaco from the really great band in New Jersey called Tilted.
Yeah.
Which they're going to have their a CD release party this month, in November 30th. That's exciting.
You know, if you do guys in a show, they got to be ripped and tilted.
That actually was the plan, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, we were invited. Yeah.
They were actually first invited.
Jeez, last week my dentist filled the Cavaco.
Yeah, there he goes. He's off and running.
Right. Thank you, Tim.
And they have a new CD out. It's called Full Speed Ahead. And the intro that we just played you was one of the tracks from their CD. It's called Before I Awaken.
I love the snare drum sound in that, too.
I was playing the CD. And I said, you know what? I wanted something. When you start off the show, I wanted something high energy, and that kicked
was
off really
perfect,
nice.
yeah.
So.
That and a Red Bull, too, yeah.
And then our old friend is back. He's been on so many cruise ships, we can't even keep. 1 minute he's in Cuba, the next minute he's in Chicago eating deep dish pizza.
He looks groggy.
But he's tired. But welcome back, the very funny Eddie Clark.
Yes.
He's a landlubber. He's a landlubber now.
I'm off the ships for a couple of minutes and whatnot. They don't know I'm missing yet.
You stepped off the boat and you bought a house.
No, I put a white guy in a chain when I left and made sure he was tan, so they don't know I'm gone. I swear to God, there's nothing like if you know when you're black in America, man. There's nothing like actually riding around the ship. I asked them, don't give me a ship with windows. Because I get up and I have like heritage flashbacks. I look out and all I see is this water, and I hear an alarm going off, and I'm thinking, shit, I didn't do it. So,
we gotta call her Kizzy.
Well, you feel comfortable with chains, right?
Oh, of course I do. Especially if Alice has them at the time. But, nah, I had to go for that. I don't care. Let me tell you something. I miss you guys, man. It's been like I listen to you guys actually on the ship. You can actually hear this show if you're on the internet on the ship. It's
We keep the windows open.
I know.
We talk loud.
I said, my God, is that Veneer again? What the hell is he going to do, Aretha Franklin?
Oh, he's never going to let that go.
But you folks real quick that don't know, Paul Veneer has this one bit where he does an impression of Aretha Franklin where he does Respect. He only does like 2 lines out, but I swear to God, you will never laugh harder in your life. But because he cannot find the freaking...
No, I didn't. It's not I lost it. It melted.
Well,
it melted.
Lost it either
It's
way.
gone.
I mean,
You
know.
burnt the sister down?
It melted, man. The latex doesn't last long. Just...
And it doesn't
We're going to
my
take
world.
up a collection to recreate
Long
the
enough.
mask. Eddie, let's take up a collection and we'll recreate the
I'm
mask.
telling you, if you ever saw the bit, I'm telling you right now, he'd be on every show on TV. I mean, some people say, oh, you know, he was worried. You know what it is? He was worried because he thought people were going to be upset because they were black. And
Nah,
yeah, you did. One time you was bugging. I said, yo, man, do that thing, man. That's funny, man.
When I did it, my show that was near the middle of the show.
I know, and it was
by the time
funny.
it was fine by then.
Out of everything you've done, and you've accomplished a lot in your life, my friend. And how many years have I known you? Yo, man, over 3 decades now.
Right.
I'm telling you, man, that's still the funniest thing.
He added a couple of new things over the past couple of years.
He's
It's
got the
hysterical.
pillow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
With the
Does the show still last 2 days?
Oh, shit.
At least 2 hours. At least 2 hours.
The restaurant opens at 8. He's there at 11 with the cleaning.
Drew Magnuson, you say Paul Veneer doesn't do a finale, does a finally.
Dude, we show up there for dinner, man. We leave with bagels.
It's good to be back, though, guys.
Good to have
be
you.
back, man.
You just bought a house, which is nice.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I bought a house in an Italian neighborhood. And finally, I'm getting what I deserve. See, they say karma. See? That's right. Having to wait for just Bella to make me freaking rice balls. Now I got old ladies that are widowers that will make me anything I want, including happy.
I have company.
Go for the lasagna.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you get paid. That's what I love about Italians. You know the beautiful thing about you? Italians
They feed
will
you. They
sit
feed
there
you.
and they make food, especially old ladies. They'll make the sauce like on a freaking Thursday and Friday. And if you stick around like Monday and you happen to be by, you go by, just sweep up their, help them bring their laundry.
They love to
and stuff.
feed you.
And all of a sudden they're bringing you out all these pans of stuff, all these freaking sausage and freaking the freaking calamari, anything you can think of. It's cheese. They just all this pasta that they actually make on their beds. It's horrible. I swear to you. Think I'm joking? I'm dead serious. When I grew up, they used to make the pasta, man, homemade, and it was on the bed. The old lady had it on the bed. And I said, "Oh, this is beautiful."
That's where the crabs are.
Oh, really?
Gene.
It was seafood.
Hang on 1 second. Gene, where's the show?
Yeah, I'm looking for it, too.
Where is it?
Yeah, it's
I don't know. It's
not
right here,
out.
isn't
What
it?
happened?
Yeah, it's studio in Robbinsville.
went away.
Liggets.
Jiggets.
I see me.
Oh, he didn't
show-
put it up. There
the
you go. There's the ineptitude I was talking about.
Gino, way to wake up.
Show page. Make sure show page. But I just while they're doing that, I wanted to wish Paul and Eddie happy belated Veterans Day.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I want to talk about something real quick. Little Caesars was doing a thing nationally that they were giving a free 4-slice deep dish pizza and a 20-ounce soda to all veterans free from 11 to 2 on Veterans Day.
Nice. That's nice.
Now, the scumbag Little Caesars in Bayville, New Jersey.
No.
08721.
Now, the store is open from 11 to 8
Right.
every day, and then I think they're open late at 9 o'clock on the weekends.
Right.
The Bayville Little Caesars opened at 3 o'clock on Veterans Day. So what does that tell you?
Means they weren't ready.
That's
No, it
bad
means they
business, that's
didn't
what
want to cater to
Yeah.
veterans. So anybody that wants to call the
Oh,
Little
geez.
Caesars in Bayville and say, what the hell is your problem? 732-998-8615.
I agree.
Listen, don't call up and screw up their business. Just voice your opinion that you don't like what they did for the vet. I think that's disgusting.
But on a happier note,
You just lost 10
Texas
times the
Roadhouse
business
and
of
a
that.
lot of other
Texas, let me tell you something.
they
Texas
were
Roadhouse
amazing.
is great.
I went
to
there with my
veterans.
kids.
They're
and
great to veterans.
Yes, they were. and
I
we
just
had a
saw
great
that and it
time.
just bothered me because
Yeah.
there's no reason.
I saw Patrick Swayze there.
Really? Texas Roadhouse?
I saw John Cameron Swayze there.
John. Did he take a lick and keep on taking?
Hey,
I'm
Tim.
sure.
I did.
Tim, isn't your
His wife
couch is
did.
made of Swayze?
Yes, it is.
And your drapes?
You guys are talking about houses and stuff. I finally made my last mortgage payment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the motherfuckers foreclosed.
Remember Max Torcelli's joke is, I got a call from my credit card company. Said, Mr. Michelli, we haven't received your last payment. He goes, oh, yes, you have. That's Max Torcelli, folks.
I love Max.
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Hey, Carla, for real, the Bayville Little Caesars place, whatever it's called. Did you find out why they did? Did they actually come out and say?
Yeah,
it?
you should call them up.
There was there was an article on
Might have been a problem.
101.5.
May have
They
been a
don't
problem.
actually tell you why, but I just think that they.
Maybe,
you know what
maybe it
is?
wasn't on purpose. Maybe something happened.
It was a national thing, and
Yes.
they don't have to participate.
Of
but
course,
why
yeah.
wouldn't you want to do that?
You know, let me,
I agree.
And I think Paul will agree with me on this. It's like we don't ask for anything.
No, no.
We, I mean, just like everybody else, the idea behind service is if you go even back to the Revolutionary War with these guys, man, the whole idea was you go in, you serve, you live your life. You know, the fact of the matter is people are grateful and they want to throw a little something because let's face it, guys that are in the service don't make the greatest amount of money. We're not like
Right.
politicians.
Right.
We don't go in poor and come out rich.
Right.
You go in poor and come out in debt. You know what I'm saying?
And messed up.
Especially if you got a family, yeah. So I mean, to do a little something for these guys. I mean, the guys. I mean, if I never got another, it would be cool with me because I'm actually grateful when somebody says it from the heart and says thank you for your service. I'm good with that.
And right, you made a great point. You're not looking for it, but
No.
would it kill you for 3 hours out of your time? What do you think? There's going to be like thousands of people. They can't get freeloaders in there because you got to show your DD14.
That's it.
214.
DD
whatever.
214, yeah.
D1014.
And so it's not like people can cheat them, and they just got.
Well, maybe you should find out the story before you go slam them.
here's
Maybe
the-
something happened. They
and
couldn't
that's-
open
and
it.
I agree with that. But
Very
if
bad
101,
business decision.
101 is their, I mean, they're Jersey station. They
Yeah.
get it. So if those guys contact them and they didn't explain it to 101, then all of a sudden I have a
with
problem
you
with
on
it.
I
gotta
tell
make
you
it.
what, they got to explain it to us because I got a problem with it.
You know what?
but-
You know, really,
My
because
thing
it's
is-
just.
From what I can read, they
Paul-
said that they tried to call and a 16-year-old answered the phone and they go, we're not going to open up for 3 hours. For 3 hours, we're not going to lose money.
Oh, is that what
No, we
was
don't.
their
We don't know.
statement.
We
Oh.
don't. Well,
Well, if that's a statement. then-
Allegedly.
Because if something really happened that they couldn't do it during those hours, then they should have extended.
That's
the
all.
hours.
can I say something? Something more important is the anniversary today.
Oh, the Unger? Felix
Felix
Yeah,
Unger was
Felix Unger.
It is
told him.
Odd
Yeah.
Couple Day.
And
yeah.
today is Kindness Day. Hello.
got thrown out of his-
Worldwide.
Today he got
Odd
thrown out.
Couple's way more
His
important.
wife.
I know, kindness.
No, Odd
I know.
Couple.
What's that all
Kindness.
about with the Odd Couple?
November
It's,
13th.
Today's the day
November
Felix Unger was thrown out of the
November
house.
13th.
When you watch the Odd Couple, in the opening
at
thing,
the very beginning when they explain
right?
about
November
Felix Unger
13th.
was asked to remove himself from his place of residence.
That request was made by his
And
wife.
Steve's very familiar with that because Sue asks him that all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, she axed me.
She
Oh, she black?
Well, my wife always says, "When's your next road trip?"
She asked him, and he doesn't mean the body spray.
My wife actually is a nurse. She works at night. She's asleep right now and was actually kind of upset with me. Like, where you going? I said, I'm going to the station. I said, I haven't been back at the Animal House in quite a while. She goes, oh, you kind of like that place, don't you? I said, why don't you come in and find
Yeah,
out
why
why?
don't you come? Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, I got to go to work tonight. Hey,
Somebody's got their volume on their phone up.
Madon. Oh, now you're learning Italian.
I do the best I can.
Hanging out there.
All right,
Every
we're
now
gonna
and then,
be,
I'll
we're gonna
turning
get,
Italian.
We're gonna get Johnny.
Rodney Allen Dangerfield.
Rodney Allen Rippey on the phone right now.
That's cool.
And then we're going to talk to Steve Cavico of Tilted. He's going to tell you about the
Who?
CD release party. The guy you're sitting next to,
No.
Artie.
That guy.
Yes.
You're
Good
sitting next
juju.
to.
It's a good juju.
You know, Juju's on that beat.
Artie gave me good
There's a
juju
song
the other
called
night.
Juju on that beat.
Juju's a wide receiver on some team.
So, Gene, when you're ready, get Rodney on the phone.
Remember that candy, Jujubes?
Yeah.
Remember those? They were good.
They were
Remember
hard.
that commercial?
They were
Eddie?
good. Yeah.
Turns out they were made in Israel. I
We
didn't know
need
that.
one
Your cabbage
pin,
there.
Rodney.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Rodney, how are you?
Man, I'm ready to go, brother. Ready to go.
All right,
Oh my God,
good.
you sound, Andy, you must have had a Red Bull. All right, everybody, it is 7:45. Joining us now on the phone is a legendary actor. You've seen him on TV so many times. He has such an adorable face. He's all grown up now, and he's doing some amazing things for veterans. Please welcome for the first time on the Animal House Radio Show, Mr. Rodney Allen Rippey.
Yeah.
Rodney!
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We've known you
How
since
guys
you were a little
doing?
kid.
Yes.
Just a little bee baby.
So, Rodney, I got the chance to meet you at the Chiller Convention, and you couldn't be more gracious to me. And you're
Why couldn't he be?
Well,
You could have tried a
Should
little
have
harder.
been.
but he was really cool, and he was very excited to come on the show, and we're anxious to speak. I remember watching those commercials growing up, and it's just amazing how, you know, I think it's so great, those conventions, when you go to see people you grew up with, because especially nowadays with all the nonsense going on, it's good to reconnect, you know?
That would be the Democratic Convention.
So tell us, Rodney, how did now with the whole thing with the commercial? Was this something you wanted to do, or was your mom one of those like Toddler and Tiara type of moms that wanted you to be in all kinds of commercials, or?
You know what? It actually started out as just really, I was a little kid living on the west side of Long Beach, California.
Right.
And one day I was watching the Little Rascals, believe it or not, and I was laughing. And my mom comes in and she goes, "What's so funny?" And I point at the TV and she goes, "Oh, you're laughing at buckwheat." And the next thing you know, my mom says, "What, you think you can do that?" And believe it or not, years later, it just dawned on me, I was imagining myself as one of the gang.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it looks like they were always having so much fun. So
Right.
I was one of the gang. And so my mom said, "Wait a minute, you wouldn't be afraid of all those cameras and those lights?" And I was like, "Nope," because, you know, I'm thinking in my mind, I'm one of the gang. So
Right.
I wanted to be inside the TV. So my mom picks up the Yellow Pages in 1972.
Oh, wow.
And believe it or not, there were agents and talent managers in there. My mom started dialing, and through a little trial and error, she got me hooked up with one of the biggest agents in L.A. Her name was Dorothy Deotis, and I got a call for the Jack in the Box commercial. And believe it or not, it was my first audition, no formal training, and I landed the biggest commercial campaign of my whole
Wow.
career.
That's
Biggest
great.
ever.
Talk about it meant to be.
Yeah. The best thing about this is, and I did some research, that Jack in the Box was actually going to go bankrupt until his commercial hit. His commercial actually saved the company.
Yep.
Indeed, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. That's
It
the
was
only, yeah.
and they didn't know. They didn't know if they wanted a boy, a girl. They didn't know what nationality. They just needed almost like a mascot. And I had the opportunity to go in. There were 100 kids called in on the audition, and believe it or not, I got picked. And the rest has been history.
Now, did you really eat all that meat?
Haven't heard
Yes,
that
I
since prom
did.
night.
And
Really?
that
What,
burger,
this isn't
yes, I
secret.
did. I took a full bite of that burger every time.
Wow. That was a big burger.
So were they like really excited when they found out you were one of the Little Rascals?
Well, exactly. Well, in my mind, you know, but it's just from there. I worked with some of the greatest names, from Sammy Davis Jr., George
Right.
Burns, Mike Douglas, Dinah Shore, Merv Griffin, Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Mel Brooks. I mean,
But did you work with any
there was
famous
just about
people?
nobody I didn't have an opportunity to work with.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh wow! Who did you enjoy working with the most, Rodney?
You know what? I have to tell you, probably, I have to say, probably Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah, he was one of my
Because
idols.
we did a
Oh, wow.
dance number together, and believe it or not, Sammy had a cold that day that we were doing this TV show, and we did this tap dance number together.
Right.
And at the end of the show, Sammy and I, we walked backstage, and he goes, "Kid, I got a terrible cold. It's great working with you. I got to go. I'm sick. I got to go." So I tell my mom, I said, "Mom," Sammy walks off, and I tell my mom, I said, "Mom, Sammy had a cold." And my mom goes, "Rodney, he travels a lot. He's a busy man." I go, "Mom, I want to send him a get well card." And my mom goes, "Rodney, that's Sammy Davis Jr. How do you think we're going to get a get well card to him?" I said, "Well, give it to my agent." My mom started laughing. My mom said, "Okay, we'll try." I sent Sammy Davis Jr. a get well card with my little chicken scratch. And do you know he wrote back to me and signed a letter and sent it back to me thanking me for the get well card.
That was really
But he only dotted one eye.
There you go.
Wow.
Exactly. That's all he needed to.
There he goes. Tim Eli. He's
He
off
wa-
and running.
He was one of my idols, Sammy Davis Jr. He did it all, man. He sang, he danced, he acted, he was a drummer. I mean, he did it all.
5'2"
Danced.
player.
He was incredible talent.
You know, when he passed away, his wife made a statement to all the acts that ever released an album that thinks nobody bought it. Your mother got it, and so did Sammy.
Right.
He would buy all these albums from
Oh, really?
yeah, he had a huge
collection?
collection. Yeah.
You know what was amazing that I remember about Sammy Davis Jr.? When I went to see Paul Anka, and he did a whole tribute of Sammy Davis Jr. where he has like a video screen behind him, and he actually sang a song with Sammy because they
Right.
wrote a lot of songs together.
Right.
So, but
Amazing.
yeah. So
That's a great talent.
Well,
great
actually, Sammy and I have something in common because he was the Candyman. And when I was a kid, I did a recital and I had a solo and I was singing the Candyman. So I was the Candyman.
I thought you were going to say you ate candy.
I was as big
I thought he was
as
gonna say he had a
Sammy Davis Jr.
cold.
back in the day for one night. I
That's
had my
quite a
moments of
coincidence.
fame.
Because not only that,
Well,
Candyman, I always turn
hey
the
guys,
song off.
I got one for you too. Well, I sang the Candyman on my album "Take Life a Little Easier" that was on Bell Records.
Right.
And I have to say, I hold the record for being the youngest person ever chart on Billboard.
There you go.
Oh,
Wow.
really? That's an interesting fact. Wow.
See, a fun fact.
Yep.
I love it.
Hey, does
Fun
any of your fans ever come up to you and still say, "Hey, I still have my baby talking Rodney Rippy doll"?
You know what? There are some serious collectors. When I was there at Chiller's in New Jersey just
Right.
last week, I had the best time. It was great meeting everybody. And there were people who came up to me with memorabilia that I didn't even have.
Right.
And I was like,
Wow.
wow, where'd you get this stuff at? But,
Yeah.
you know, it's an honor to be able to meet people. And for me, it was never anything that, honestly, at the age of 3.5, my mom told me, "Rodney, this is a job. This is
Right.
serious business." And I was like working a freaking job when I was 3.5 years old. My mom just allowed me. She said, "Rodney, don't worry about anybody else.
Right.
Just focus on what you're doing and
Good.
do a good job." And that was it.
You had a good mom. You had a good mom.
advice.
You know, the next time you do Chiller, Rodney, I'm gonna have a talk with them over there because they got to put you in a bigger room. That room was like a shoebox, and it was like 150 degrees in that room.
Yeah, but I had a blast. But that was my first time at Chili's on the East Coast, and I look forward to. You know,
Yeah.
I don't get out to the autograph signings very often, and when I do, I meet just great people, and I have a blast. You know.
Yeah. Next time, Carl, just bring a shoehorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey, Rodney, when you were
But-
doing the commercials, right? You're a kid. I mean, this is all new for you. Was it work or was it pretty much fun for you? I mean, that must have been a
It
lot
had
to
to be
take in
fun.
at that age.
I feel like I bet you it was fun.
I have to tell you, I told somebody this, and this is honest to God truth. When I was 3.5 years old, when this thing hit, you know, the Jack in the Box campaign was the start. Then
Right.
the album, and then Mattel Toy produced a talking doll after me.
Right.
All of the promotions and stuff. And as a little kid, you know what it felt like? I had a bunch of friends. Because
Wow.
wherever
That's
I went, parents brought their little kids up, and I was like, God, look at all these friends. And it never dawned on me like, Rodney, they're here to talk to you. It was like I was a little kid and I just had all these friends. That was it.
Right. Now, back then, did they have merchandising deals where you didn't get screwed on the merchandise? Did you?
Oh no.
Good,
Trust
good.
me, I had a great team of people
Good.
around me, and thank God. And my parents loved me, and
Right.
even every penny that I made from that whole thing, my parents set that aside for me. It allowed me to go to college. I got
See,
my
that's
degree
good.
in marketing and advertising.
It's nice to hear a good
Started my
story for a
marketing
change.
yard company.
It's nice, it's nice to hear a good story for a change.
You had the Jackie Coogan law because of that.
Yeah.
Hey, Rodney, let's
Yeah.
fast forward a little bit here. Tell us about when you ran for mayor of Compton.
Well, I actually, running my marketing company, I got a call from this lady in Compton, and she actually wanted me to represent her nonprofit. So we go to the city, and we start talking to them, and next thing you know, I got kind of pulled into the political race. And so I stuck my little toe into the political waters, and my intentions were sincere. It wasn't a publicity stunt. I grew up in Long Beach. Long Beach is kind of like, just like 2 doors over
Yeah, it's
from
not far.
Compton. I mean, literally, it's because it's like Long Beach, Carson, Compton. It's all right there together. And my college was in Carson, which is literally
right in the middle.
2 minutes from Compton. So I grew up there, and I knew the area, and I wanted to make a difference. But trust me, they were not ready for my plans, because I was going to, all the corruption and funny stuff was going to stop. And they were like, I don't think we can let this guy in.
Yeah, they were Wendy's fans. They didn't like Jack in the Box.
Wendy's wasn't around yet.
Yeah, they should have had more beef on the deal. I'm telling you.
Rodney, I just wanted to backtrack real quick with what Paul said about how you got lucky and you were able to have, people that took care of you. And you hear horror stories like Macaulay Culkin. His parents like took all of his money.
And Gary
Coleman.
Coleman.
Gary Coleman,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just, I thank God that I have good people around me. My family loved me. It was never any type of inner fighting.
Right.
Believe it or not, my sister Beverly Lee and my brother Kenneth Wayne, they too were all signed up. We were all signed up to Dorothy Day Otis. And after we got into it, my sister did a commercial. My brother had a couple auditions. But for my brother and sister who were older, they told Mom, we don't like it. It's just too much fuss. Let Rodney do it. And my mom looked at me at the age of 3.5 and said, Rodney, your older brother and sister don't want to do it. I know you don't, so just tell me now, and we can wrap this up. And I'm like, no, I'm having a blast. And so
that's
my mom
awesome.
said, okay, as long as you're having fun, I'll keep taking you. You'll have fun. All is well.
That's awesome.
I met Dorothy when I lived in California. She was a very nice lady. She knew she had a lot of contacts. She had a lot of clout.
Oh yeah. She had some serious pull. So over time, just working with people, and then I started getting involved with vocational education, and that's where I am now. I mean, I'm doing some really killer stuff. Still working with, veterans causes. I just had a great meeting at U.S. Vets out here in the Inland Empire. Possibly, if everything goes according to plan, I'm supposed to be at a veterans job fair tomorrow, representing Intercoast College. And guys, I got one of the biggest trivia that's going to knock your socks off.
Go ahead.
First of all, I'm honored to be on with you all. Do you know the owner of my college? His name is Mr. Chris Brown. Chris Brown, his father is Jack Brown, who ran your network for over 30 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Jack and the Brown.
Chris and Gita Brown, who head up Intercoast College, we got 5 campuses all around Southern California and still expanding. We do the type of core things that the world needs, the HVAC, the electrical, alcohol and drug counseling, and we really love our veterans. And so that's how I got kind of tied into the U.S. Vets, and we're really hoping to put a serious relationship together for our veterans, because we know that when they come home, they deserve to be able to transition into some real great jobs, and that's what we can do. We can provide them that education that's going to allow them to move forward.
Rodney, let me tell you something. As a veteran, man, I want to let you, first of all, thanks a lot. We appreciate what you do. One of the things that happens, and you're doing the right thing by trying to get guys trained and helping guys with different kinds of situations, because a lot of people, it just turns into like, thanks a lot, shakes your hand.
Right.
And we were just talking about this before you got on the air. It's a free meal, go away. But I just want to let you know, we appreciate anybody that steps up and tries to help guys that at the end of the day make that sacrifice to make us all free.
Right. Exactly.
I appreciate that. I also executive produced a country song called 21 Days, and it was dedicated to the men and women of the armed services. And a gentleman, his name is Ben Rombouts, great guy. We started this huge, this this drive for this song that we produced, and sadly, right in the top of this thing, he has a stroke. And so kind of sidelined the project, but you know, I kind of want to really release the song and use it as a fundraising mechanism for veterans and also for him, because now he's ill, and so he needs some action to be able to take care of him, because he really can't perform like he used to. And so, but there's a lot of love out there, and we do love our veterans, and I have the greatest respect for my cousin. His name's Clay Rippey. He did 25 years in the Navy as a gunner's mate. He was based out at White Sands Missile Range, and so, and I mean, and I love these stories when you hear these things come from these guys and women out there who they gave their all, and so I personally feel that our veterans deserve the best of health care, the best of psychological care, the best of housing, the best of everything.
Bravo.
You know, the biggest problem is we deal with we have a friend who his name is Colonel Robert Beachy. He heads an organization called vetrest.org, and they do the same. They have the same goal, Rodney. What they do is, a lot of these guys, and men and women, I shouldn't say guys, men and women come home
with the trauma.
They have to acclimate themselves back into civilian life, and it's not that easy. Like, he had this one. He shared a story with us about this kid Jason, who was a special forces guy. His specialty was hostage situations. He taught people how to like not be a hostage and stuff like that. And he had to go out on a mission in Africa. One of the diplomats' daughters got kidnapped, and he went and got her back. But when he came home, you put that on an application. You know, there's no job openings for heroes, unfortunately. So that's what VetRes does. They help them find jobs if they need housing and food. So the more organizations we have like this, the better.
The better off.
You know?
Yeah. I'm with that, and you know, also too, I'm happy to be working with a dear friend of mine. His name's Dan Pettigrew. He's working back right now. He's back on a trip back in Wisconsin, and we're hooked up with a gentleman by the name of Mr. Millar, who has a veterans organization called U.S. Veterans Project Library. And so they're doing a push where more young people and just anybody who goes into the library, you can have a real resource about veterans and about what our military really do. Instead of people listening to hearsay and all this other stuff, you really need to know what the military actually does, what they really do, and what their sacrifice is all about.
Right.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, in between what you and Dan are doing is great. And, you know, just speaking to you, it brings back so many memories from my childhood, and knowing that you're doing such positive things now, and we need more people like this. Like I said, especially with the nonsense that's going on all around the country, and the vets and teens, and all the causes, you know, that you're involved in. And I want to tell you, and I know I speak for everyone here, that consider yourself family. You're a friend of the show. Anytime you need us, we are here.
I appreciate that, and I also I just want you guys to know that when I tell you I got great resources, I got a gentleman here in Southern California. His name's James Andrew. He's tailored to the stars. We have a project called Coat of Arms, and he's a tailor, and he's tailoring high-quality, affordable suits for men and women of the armed services. If a man or woman was injured and maybe they lost a limb in battle, guess what? He's tailor-making suits so that they could still go out, look like $1 million and go get a job and do whatever they need to do. And so, you know, we're working on that. We're working on also a lot of military, because of shrapnel, they become blind. And he actually has a fashion line that we're putting together, and it's called Legally Blind Clothing. And actually it's going to have Braille tags so that, you know, people who are vision impaired can go and just feel these tags, and then they can go, oh, it's blue, or oh man, it's got pinstripes, or I want this suit, this is my size.
That's cool.
And they can have that freedom of shopping.
So in other words, you have it all sewed up.
Yeah, exactly. Hey man, we're throwing up some serious stuff, but again, I do want to put a big shout out to U.S. vets, and then tomorrow it's actually at March Air Force Base. They're doing a big job fair for anybody listening on the network tonight. That if you're near March Air Force Base, if you're a veteran, there's going to be a huge job resource, and also check out U.S. Vets. They're just an amazing organization of what they're doing in collaboration with what you guys are doing, and it's just great, man. And I'm here, and I just met with a wonderful veterans seeking employment. The director over there, her name is Latasha Ali Remlogan, great lady, and so hopefully we're going to be doing some great stuff with U.S. Vets.
Rodney, I want to ask you a question. By any chance, there's a reason why I'm asking you. Do you have a rare blood type?
Do I have a rare blood type? Actually, no.
Wait. There's a reason why I'm asking.
Yeah, we ask all celebrities that question.
No. Quiet. I'm serious. Do you have a rare blood type?
Am I type O? I think I might be type O or something.
O's
like
normal.
that.
O's
I
normal.
forgot what it is. Really?
No, you know what? I'm going to tell you something.
Why
While I'm
do you
listening,
ask?
while I'm listening to you, you're going to be involved with doing something with. Either you're going to be donating your blood, or you're going to be donating bone marrow. You're going to help save somebody's life specifically, and you're also going to be doing something with a blood drive. You're going to be you're going to be like a forefront in regards to doing something with blood drive.
Rodney, let me just tell you, the reason why he's telling you this is because Artie is a psychic.
Yeah, I was just going to say, please
So this way you don't
explain.
come out of left field here. I want you to know why he's telling you this.
It's not a radio bit. He's the real deal.
Anything I can do for you guys, man, and I appreciate it, and really, thank you for everything that you're doing for our men and women of the armed services.
We're on Armed Forces Radio.
Keeping the information out there, man. It's important.
Yeah.
One
important.
of the things that you do, and no one's really brought this up, is one of the problems a lot of guys have when they're coming out. I just had a nephew that just came out not too long ago, four tours, and one of the things is, we lose I forget how many numbers is it?
22.
22 suicides every day. One of the things my nephew
Unfortunately.
told me is a lot of times when guys come out, they don't have
They have a skill
they
set.
don't have a skill set, and they don't have a sense of hope. And it sounds crazy after coming out of this regimented life, but a lot of guys don't have that hope when they're coming out,
And they feel lost, too.
and
They
that
feel
starts
lost.
them on the slide. So it's things that you're doing, like what you're doing in the Armed Forces Radio. Obviously you guys are doing here, trying to help out people. It's stuff like that actually might take at least one of those guys off that
Right.
statistic, and I give you a lot of love for that, Rodney.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
appreciate that, guys. Intercoast College, one of the things that we want to help people. I mean, these men and women who go through so much, yes, of course. If you're a bomb technician and you come home from the service, where do you get a job?
Exactly.
But when you have a certification in an electrical, HVAC, when you can work in residential, commercial, industrial, electrical, you can go out and start your own business.
Right.
You don't have to be stuck working on a job. You can get your certification. You can go do great things.
Yep.
And that's why we're here. I mean, that's why we're here.
Ronnie, where's the place tomorrow? You said at March Base. Where is it? Where is that? What town is that?
It's March Air Force Base, guys, located at 15305 6th Street, March Air Force Base, California.
Okay.
The zip code is 92518.
Okay.
Again, March Air Force Base, that's here in the Inland Empire, here in outside of L.A. Huge job fair. The job fair is going to be going on, kicking off tomorrow. I think it's going to go for, from 10 to 4.
Good.
And again, they're the executive director for the U.S. Vets Inland Empire is a gentleman, and his name is I gotta remember his name, Mr. Williams. Yes, Mr. Williams, fantastic guy, and there's just a lot of really great people. Larry Williams, he also served in the military, so he knows what the men and women need. And here's just a little information. The Inland Empire, they support over 400 veterans in the Riverside, San Bernardino area with housing, include emergency transitional, permanent low-income housing, counseling, career development, and comprehensive support for veterans and their families.
Very
so
That's amazing.
there you go.
Keep on doing what you're doing, Rodney. And like I said, consider yourself a friend of the show.
Call in anytime you want.
Yeah, I do have one quick question. Are you wearing red sneakers? There's a reason I'm asking
well,
this.
you know what? I'm wearing the suit because I'm here in admissions at Intercoast College. And like I said, guys, I'm always tied into the entertainment industry. Real quick, I'm actually co-executive producer of the Country Soul Music Awards. I'm working on launching, my own projects. Actually, hey, a lot of the military guys and girls out there, you love hot rods and cool cars, and so I'm launching another podcast called California Car Culture.
Cool.
You can find me on Facebook under hashtag RAR454. RAR is just my initials, but 454. I have a 71 Corvette, and so I've restored a couple Camaros, a couple Mustangs.
Very cool. Very cool. Now you're talking my language.
I'm having fun.
Hey, Rodney, definitely finish that song. I think that's a big deal.
Yeah. Or get it. It's finished. It's
Yes.
just got to be released, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
No,
he said he
I
got to
already
finish it.
I sent it to you.
Oh,
You guys
yeah,
got
release it.
It's
I
in
have
the
it,
email
yeah.
I sent to you guys, so make
Yep.
sure you check it. It's called 21 Days. And so
All right.
I would love if you guys could play it.
Yeah,
man.
we definitely are.
Is it about the war in
Hey,
Grenada?
check out the hit song Rodney had when I was a kid, Take Life a Little Easier. Remember that one, Rodney?
Yeah.
That's it. Yep. Also, you can check that out. And I'm looking to re-release my album. I still get calls from parents and emails, and they say, I want a copy of your album for my kid, but it's not on CD. So I just had a
cool.
meeting over the weekend, and I may be re-releasing my album on CD for parents
Oh,
who.
that's
And
lovely.
it's really
And you also have that. You also have that porno. Jackson in her box.
no.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Available on 8-track and cassette.
Rodney, before you go, can you?
I don't want to end up. I don't want to end up on the news. So I
No, we're just teasing. We're just teasing.
Yeah, you're not running for mayor anymore.
We're teasing. Rodney, before you go, can you do us a station ID for us?
Yeah, heck yeah. What do you want?
Okay,
man?
just
Tell me.
all you got to do is introduce yourself and say you're listening to the Animal House Radio Show on the Hamilton Radio Network. I know it's a long sentence, but if you can remember that.
Okay, so let me get it together here.
Okay,
Okay,
the
so
Animal House Radio
got my
Show.
name. I got that down. Animal House Radio
Write
on
it
the
down.
Hamilton
The Ama-
Radio Network.
Yes, the Animal House Radio Show on the Hamilton Radio Network. Yeah.
Let's roll.
Do it anytime you want.
Animal House Radio Show. Got it. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. How you doing? It's Rodney Allen Rippey, and you're listening to Animal House Radio on the Hamilton Radio Network.
Very
Perfect.
Perfect. You nailed it.
First
Rodney,
time.
thanks so much. I will be in touch. We're going to do great things together, and we're going to get Dan involved. And like I said, if you need us, we're there.
Going to connect him to Robert Vici, too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hey, I appreciate that, guys. And also, too, me and Dan are working on something. Just hold on to your hats. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Okay.
Good.
And we're working on a project called Voyage of Valor.
Oh, cool.
So
I like the title.
I'll fill you guys in on that.
That's
a
definitely
good title.
a
You
part
got
2
it.
interview coming up.
Yes,
I see
definitely
that.
I see a part 2 in our future, but I'm going to keep in touch.
Definitely.
Thank you. And will this be podcasted by any chance, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll send you a copy.
We'll send you a link.
Absolutely, yeah.
We'll send you a link, too.
Yeah, please. Let's
Please
get you
do,
out there.
please do, because the owner of Intercoast College, the son of Jack Brown, he wants a copy. He goes, Rodney, I'm tied up in a meeting, but please get me a copy. I said,
Definitely.
okay,
Oh,
deal.
absolutely.
Send him a link of the Facebook page.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, you got it.
We'll send you the link.
Rodney Allen Rippey.
Thank you, Rodney.
Good night, my friend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Best
guys.
of luck to you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
I still, believe it or not, I hate fast food, but that's the only fast food I like. I love
Was it
Jack in the Box
They
tacos.
don't have them anymore, right?
The closest one here is North Carolina. Then you have to go to Texas, then you have to go to West
Why,
Coast.
we had them in Texas.
They used to be all over New Jersey years
Let me tell
ago.
you something. I think
Wow.
when me and Gisela were in Texas, there was the Jack in the Box right across the street from us. It is the greasiest thing.
Oh, it is. It doesn't taste like tacos,
Yeah.
but they have their own taste. But they just, it's the only junk food I ever liked. Jack in the
so
Box.
that
And their
was
onion
great.
rings. And their onion rings.
Of all the fast foods, I got to admit my favorite's Burger King.
Yeah,
I get sick on them. I get sick on them.
I like the
their
charcoal
chicken
flavor. I
sandwiches.
do.
You
I
do.
like
Excuse
their
me.
chicken sandwiches.
Are we in New Jersey?
Are
Are
we
we
in
in New
Jersey?
Jersey?
Yeah.
You enjoy
Yo, have you people ever heard of White Castle? What is wrong with y'all?
Oh, I love the surf
Yo,
and turf.
exactly, brother.
You know how
Yo.
many nights I would 3 a.m.
Yo,
15 White Castles.
when you didn't have the
They're called
money,
rat
when you
burgers.
didn't have the money, Burger King didn't want to know nothing from you.
Yeah.
But White Castle said, "Bring your dollar, we'll feed a family of 6."
Right.
They didn't want us
Oh,
around. It
yeah.
was the good old days, man.
The good thing
The good
about
old
White
days with the
Castles,
murder
you can have
burgers.
them for dinner and then you're having them for breakfast. the next day.
Exactly.
Literally.
White Castle, you're
I'm always in one.
You're the love it or hate it. There's no in between.
They made you regular. You get
Oh, yeah.
One thing I do
Wait.
love, I
Need 'em.
do love their vanilla milkshakes.
I just have to-
Yeah,
I
the
love
shakes are
their
great.
vanilla
I like their
milkshakes.
They are good.
Not if you saw how they made them.
Raise your hand. How many people here actually really truly like White Castle?
Oh, right here.
Not me.
Oh, no ifs, ands, or buts about
You
it.
just have
Oh,
to drink.
shit.
Belly bombs.
It's gotta be the
Not
no.
even- she
Let
wouldn't
me
even want to pass it
How
on
many
the
more?
highway.
no. Let me explain something to you.
It's
It's
disgusting.
the onions.
Yo, there's
It's
something.
Sheffield.
It's just something about it.
It's the
Yeah, it's called
cocaine.
25
It's the
What
cocaine
kind
you
of
put in the
Jewish
burger.
men
It's gotta be it.
It's called 25 cents a hamburger. That's what it is.
Yo, when I was the lowest price you ever remember as a kid, lowest price,
25 cents.
25 cents,
That's gross.
It used to be 10.
10.
It used to be 10.
I remember 8 cents.
I just
8
go in
cents.
there.
8 cents. Alleran Avenue in the Bronx, right by the Bronx Zoo. We used to actually take the subway down there, and back in those days when I was a lot younger, right? It was 25 hamburgers, one large sack of onion rings, and a shake because something had to make it regular.
I just go in there and get like $15 worth of burgers. Don't matter what they
Oh,
cost.
forget about it. $15, man. You can feed a small country. What do you?
3 in the
It's a
morning.
whole year.
Back
Oh,
in the
man.
Mount Vernon days?
Yeah.
When you were hanging out with Denzel?
That's it. Well, he didn't actually. As I remember, because he's a little bit older than me, I never remembered ever seeing him at White Castle.
Well, he was smart. Thank
Never
God.
remember seeing him at a White Castle, but I know we used to all get in the subway, and we would go down. We got at 241st Street. We just take a couple stops down. You go downstairs. You walk 2 blocks. You get your burgers. You roll back on the subway. It was horrible. and guys would actually beat you up for them back in those days. You didn't bring them back on the subway.
man.
Yeah, man.
I couldn't eat 'em. I couldn't
it'd
eat
be
'em.
those. You go through like the part of the Bronx where everybody speaks Spanish. And let me tell you something. It's one thing to get your ass whipped, but it's something completely different to get your ass whipped in a language you understand. Because I'm telling you, you
With a
got-
stomach full of white butter.
you get a brother beat you, I'll kick your ass. You get a white guy, hey, you freaking guy. You know what I mean? You Spanish people beat you, that's all you hear. You know?
Wait, let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you this question and Carlos the same question.
What's your blood type?
Are you wearing red shoes?
Mine, be positive.
No, that's mine too. What was the most hamburgers you ever ate in one sitting of a White Castle?
That's gross.
I pushed one time and I think it was 41. I bought 50. I bought 50 and I ate 41 of them.
beat him.
Yeah.
I was in high
And
school.
I still managed to finish my onion rings and I finished my chocolate shake.
And then the next
41,
day
yeah.
he shit a waiter.
And then his blood type changed.
I was in high school, and we used to go, when I was playing ball, we used to go after a game, we used to go up to White Castle, because it was right in Verona, up Bluefield.
I remember that one.
So now, my number in football was 72, so I had 72. In
I
my
had
team.
You ate 72 White Castles?
72 was my number in football.
How much were you weighing at that time?
I was only like
100,
200
800
pounds.
pounds.
What were you eating when you weighed 600 pounds?
White Castle.
He ate the whole,
whole place.
castle.
At that point in my life, I was working in all types of restaurants, and
Yeah.
like pizzerias and stuff, but I didn't eat junk food. I ate I was a meat and potatoes guy. I ate macaroni.
Me
Junk
too.
food. That's junk food.
Yeah, but I get it.
I mean,
yeah.
no, I wasn't into candy or
No.
sweets. No, like you know how some people would rather have their dessert first and then
No.
the main course. Macaroni. My mother would make like a pot of meatballs just for me. Like I could eat 27 or 30 in one shot back in the day. 3 or 4 pounds of macaroni.
Oh yeah, I know.
Now you just do the Pringles.
That's why you do. That's why you do Miss.
And the
That's
Snapple.
why. That's why you do Miss Sarpati. The lady's name was Miss Sarpati. I was telling you about it earlier. I would always do her lawn because, like I said, on Monday I do her lawn, and they say, "Oh, Eddie, I'll take care of you later." Her sons and nephews, all of them come over, and there'd be 50 of them people in the house. There was all this food left over. I couldn't figure it out. And she would give me like lasagna and a whole pans of sauce and peppers, potatoes and
That's like
sauce.
a wedding.
Is that wait?
it
Is
was-
that when you converted to be Italian?
Oh, no doubt about it. I'll tell you.
Like,
but
Did they dip you in holy water?
they did everything.
The whole thing?
And I'm a black Jew, so it just worked out
It's
fine.
like Adam Sandler in The Wedding Singer when he was giving a lady piano lesson, she would give him a meatball.
Oh, that
on
was
a thing.
funny.
It
Let
was
me ask
yeah.
You don't like your matzo ball? Would you eat like a nice?
I love matzo ball. I like a filter fish. I ain't no
You like-
problem.
so you
Yeah.
do-
What about your
Kugel, all that?
What about your couch? Is it
Love
like covered in
Kugel.
plastic?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Your couch, is it covered in plastic?
That's embarrassing. Yeah. I'm married. Now, here's the funny part. My wife is German, and I've been to her family's house.
Oh, my God.
But when I got it, I actually tried to get a Castro convertible when I met my wife. She goes, "Where are you from? What planet are you from?" Right? But you guys remember. But you get but when you used to get your stuff, it's Siemens. Remember Siemens?
Yeah.
Siemens first.
Yeah.
We get our furnace from Siemens, and the first thing my mom did is made sure it was plastic, because that's what we lived in an Italian neighborhood, so everybody had plastic. And then Miss Arpati, I think it was Miss Arpati, walked in one time. Oh, Nettie, what's this?
Tim
I don't
has a
know
lot
what
of semen on his couch.
You knew something was coming out of that one.
And you
it was just a matter of time.
And you saw it first.
Castro convertible, the Fidel model.
But you remember that? No.
I
but
tell my
remember
girlfriends it's stucco.
Oh yeah, I remember.
the Castro convertible.
Boy, is it stucco.
But they paid extra. They paid extra, especially Italian ladies. They paid extra to have the plastic. And the funny part is with the plastic, my mother still wouldn't let us sit in the living room.
Yep.
Yeah,
Of course,
it's like a
we couldn't
museum.
sit on it.
Get the ropes up
It's
and
a
everything.
showcase.
Everything
It's
was
just a
in the
showcase.
basement.
It's only when the preacher used to come over, my mother would take it off.
One of
Other
the
than
first,
that,
Eddie, one of the first jokes I used when I first started out, I say it when I meet a girl and I want to impress her, I always should take her to my favorite Italian restaurant, my mother's basement.
You know, I once saw a school of filter fish.
All right. In studio with us is a very talented musician. His name is Steve Cavaco, and he's part of the band called Tilted. And they got a CD release party coming up on November 30th. And I want to thank you for coming.
Hey,
Steve.
thank you.
I actually got to
And
meet him.
Ruben Rodriguez, let's not forget.
Yeah, the freeloaders here. But I met Steve at the Brighton Bar when Steve's band Ripped was opening up for Weapons of Anew, which was a great show. They had a really good showing, despite the amp problems.
Yeah, well.
But I think it was an A+ effort. So,
How come Steve's sitting up straight though?
He's not tilted.
He's not
That's what I'm
tilted?
saying.
Tilted,
That's what I'm saying. Doesn't make
Maybe
sense.
only half the band's tilting.
I'm sorry.
I can tilt anything very easily.
hold up. Let me get a chance. Let me audition.
What? The CDs are right here, baby.
You're in.
I can tilt the floor if I'm.
So they got an album out. It's called Full Speed Ahead, and it's they can get it on tiltedonline.com.
Yeah, tiltedonline.com. You can go right to the CD area. It's on all the media outlets like Google Play, Amazon,
What instrument do you play?
Spotify. I play guitar.
Oh, you play guitar.
Only
boy.
guitar in the band.
Lead,
Yeah.
bass,
Lead guitar, all the guitar. One guitar player.
one guitar player,
Yep.
one guitar player, one singer, one drummer.
Yep. One singer. That's Will. One bass player. That's Jim, and our drummer John. Yep.
So a trio with a lead singer. That's
Yeah.
what- okay.
Yeah.
So now, how did you get involved, and when did you know that you wanted to do this? Was it at a young age, and who influenced
That's a good question.
you?
So I.
He wanted to pick up girls.
And always.
Always for the
That's
girls.
the one main reason,
The
right?
girls make the bands, right?
Yeah.
But the guys buy the records. It's funny, right?
And the rings.
Yeah, it's true. No, I started playing a long time ago.
Onion rings.
Onion rings.
Started playing a long time ago. I took it back up at like 18. Just with a
Wow.
friend. Yeah, I took it back up, and then, God, I don't know how many years went by. I got laid off on a job in 2009, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna take a year off.
Right.
Did you take lessons, or were you trained?
I took a
yourself?
little lessons early, but I did a lot of the stuff myself.
Right.
I probably trained about 2 years when I was like 8 and 10, and then I just stopped. I didn't play, and I still listen to music, all my influences and stuff, and then I took it back up.
Steve, let me ask you a question. From learning yourself and taking formal lessons, is it an uphill battle? How do you teach yourself how to do that?
Okay, you have to have an ear for it.
That's a good.
You develop an ear.
Sometimes, I mean, I have a kind of a knack of an ear. Then I just kind of I looked at
Well, how
stuff.
do you learn the notes and stuff if you're never?
From playing, from doing it. It's like anything else. You put time in.
I learned from
Go
a couple
online.
of friends. I learned how to play a few chords through friends. As soon as this was a while ago. I mean, there was no major media online yet to go on YouTube and learn. So
Right.
a friend brought over guitar and like, oh, what are you playing? And I was like, oh, I play that. Okay. And then I started just maneuvering my hands around the instrument. That sounded really good. And then,
What color are your
and
shoes?
then he goes, this is how you play a C. This is how you play an A. This is how you play an E. And you just start practicing. I took a little bit of, I do remember now. I did take a
Theory?
lesson.
Some theory?
Yeah, a little bit. I did for about just a few months, but I was
Right.
bored. But what a guy says is when I was trying to take lessons, he goes, learn stuff that you like to listen
Right,
to.
exactly. So you put it.
I mean, I wasn't going to
Makes
be doing
sense.
the Mel Bay guitar method, and you know what I mean. I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't really interested in that. I just learned kind of some songs that I loved from my favorite bands.
Mm-hmm.
Picked up guitar, like I said, learned from some friends, and then from there it just kind of
See, they didn't
it
do
kind
that
of
when I
shot.
was
It
a
kind of just
kid.
shot to a different level after
When
that.
I was a kid, I took drum lessons, I liked it, and then I took guitar lessons, and they make you play like Mary Had a Little Lamb and stupid
Yeah.
stuff
It
like
depends
that.
on your
Depends on
teacher.
the
But I think-
teacher.
Yeah.
It's
I-
funny. Yeah.
Wait,
Go ahead.
So what song would you consider? You know how, like, when you play in the piano, you know, a lot of people have a habit of playing the same song over and over
Ed
and
Norton.
over again. Ed Norton, right? What was the song? There had to be a song that you were consistently dun dun dun.
Yeah, it was
dun.
a song.
Like, what was the song?
by
that-
Kiss called Deuce. It was pretty
Deuce,
easy. Yeah.
Deuce?
A song called Deuce. Yeah.
I thought that was
You know
the
the
Bruce
song.
Springsteen song.
So so that's kind of the song that I
That you would
remember
already be playing over and
there
over
was
and over
that,
again?
there was
Smoke on the
Smoke
Water.
on the Water, Iron Man, Paranoid, Strutter, Cat Scratch Fever.
funny, as a
all
kid-
that stuff. Those were all my influences.
As a
Those-
kid, I played a musical saw. The only song I learned was Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's a tilted comment.
Oh, that's
So,
good.
who were your influences early on?
He just told you.
Can I answer for him?
If you go ahead, go ahead.
Paul Stanley.
That's number
Paul
one.
Stanley.
Uh-huh.
Stanley Eisen.
It's not
Paul Stanley.
Paul's a big influence. So
He had a big case of Stanley tools.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Stanley
there's
Cleaner.
there's a big Kiss, AC/DC,
Lou
Black
Powell.
Sabbath, Black
Heavy-
Sabbath,
heavy metal.
Black Sabbath, Metallica, Ted Nugent. There's some other stuff.
Paul Stanley.
The heavier stuff, it seems that you favored.
Yeah, I mean, there was
don't
some.
pick on the guy.
I dabbled into I actually dabbled into some, in that old '80s new wave thing.
No
so I got
disco
into that
music.
too.
No,
No, I love to listen to disco music. No, I love it. I mean, and even some of that '80s new wave I was really into.
right.
Just listening to it and the synthesizer, I was actually like that kind of stuff. It's not always hard rock, but that was the main stuff, especially guitar wise. AC/DC,
Right.
another one.
One
Right.
thing I really appreciate, and let me know, because unfortunately I've never heard you play before, but do you ever play like rock music but classical style? Did you ever try to do that?
Like
Play,
play a song.
like Pink Floyd, I think has that, don't they? Don't
No.
they have?
I think you're thinking of Richie Blackmore.
Yeah. My second
Where
wife
they-
did
where they
Rusty
play-
Trombone.
Where they play like
Wow.
classic rock music but classical. It sounds really.
You're
really
thinking
cool.
more like
I-
Deep Purple or Ingrid.
I probably would, but I probably would have not the greatest
Yeah.
time. It wouldn't probably be that
gonna
good.
write
So
it
I
down.
probably I
Two
kinda
different
stick
styles
to-
completely. Two different styles. completely.
Steve, you're talking about the disco type of thing, or my buddies in Granny Four Barrel.
Yeah, no,
I
we
don't.
were gonna go together to see him. I remember
Yeah,
asking,
yeah. They either just released or it's about to be released. They do a Donna Summer cover.
Oh, wow.
I feel
Oh,
love.
seriously?
Love, you, love you, baby.
No, it's
we
but it's so good. I don't know if it's out yet, but I've been privy to.
She works hard for the money.
Which one is it? Do you know?
Yeah, it's called. They keep interrupting me, so I can't tell you. It's the good one. I feel love.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I definitely like that disco
That's a
stuff.
classic.
Donna Summer, all that chic stuff. I mean, that stuff was great. That's good. That's great stuff.
I like anything with a
Well,
melody.
if you
Anything with a
think
melody, I
about it,
like.
Steve, Kiss's biggest single was "I Was Made for Loving You," which was disco. It went big in the disco.
It
even
went
though
big.
that-
It went big internationally. I love the song. I love how it sounds actually on the
He
Dynasty
loves
record.
the Elder. I mean,
I do love the Elder too. But yeah, no, you're
of my
right.
favorite
Kiss
songs of
dabbled
all
in that. Kiss dabbled in disco and did
I don't
that
think
song was
they
a
meant
big,
to do that, but
they were. The story with that with Paul Stanley goes when he was out dry humping some girl in the
Wow.
in a disco thing. He goes, he listened to the songs and he goes, God, I can write this in my sleep. He went home on a couch and wrote, "I was
Right.
made for loving you." That's
he
the
put it
story.
like the drum beat on 160 BPM.
And if you hear that song off that Dynasty record, it sounds disco.
You know
it's got a
what's-
rock feel to it.
But you know what? He didn't have to write that song to dry hump somebody though.
The funny thing is, he came up with the concept of the Elder dry humping somebody
Right.
too.
Right.
and he wanted
Kiss
to
was dry humping
and he
nobody,
wanted to
man.
get-
They did it wrong.
So that's
you
how
know
we got that thing. He was at a disco and he was messing around and he goes, "I
Right.
can write a song."
I'm
like this."
surprised he
Yeah.
didn't write a song called Dry Hump.
She never. The girl never called him back because he got his makeup all over her head.
Should be like Dry Hump Wednesday.
Those stories with those guys, if you heard, are legendary, like a lot. I mean,
My favorite song of all time, one of my favorite songs of all time, was Beth by Kiss.
Ugh.
so you know the story of that one?
You don't like that,
That song.
You know the
Oh,
story
I
of that?
love it.
You
What's
know the
that?
story, Beth, and how that became a hit?
Yeah, it turns out he had a lisp. Her name was actually Bess.
Yeah, so that's our. I mean, I can tell you about that real quick if you want.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's an original song. It was Peter Criss and his buddy Stan Penridge came out. The song was actually originally called Beck.
Beck.
And they're like, we can't do that because if people think you may be talking about Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
they
Beck,
changed
I
it.
love your.
They changed it to Beth. For long story short, it was on the B side of Detroit Rock City.
Right.
And the record the stations turned it over, started playing it, and became a huge hit
Right.
for them.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
wow.
was a really big hit for them.
That was a B-side hit?
There was
It
a
was.
B-side for
They
Detroit
flipped it,
Rock
yeah.
City.
I
Yeah.
never knew that.
It's not the first time a girl was asked to turn over either.
That's right. Especially with Paul Stanley.
Everybody likes the
You know,
B-side.
everybody's got those 45s, right? The 45 that was on the other side of.
Yeah.
Steve, when it comes to the band and you want to do, like when you did the CD, what is the writing process? Like, do you guys just go in and just start shooting ideas?
Yeah,
at each
good
other?
question. Yeah, I mean, usually, yeah, I mean, everybody's involved. It usually starts with me and the singer Will. I might have a riff, and he might come and say, "Listen, I have a melody in my mind, and I can think of one rock and roll show." He started saying something, and
The
like, well,
lyrics
okay.
are everybody's contributing, or one
No,
per-
the lyrics are usually done by our singer Will. He'll come with some lyrics, and he'll
Right.
start. I said, "Well, just start strumming them out. Just
Right.
start humming something, and I'll come up. Okay, you know what? You're singing in A.
Right.
Here's a riff that I have. Let's see if we can put it together." And we kind of have a formula of kind of what the songs want to be, because people don't want to hear 15-minute songs from us. You know what I
And a
mean?
lot of heavy metal songs are in the key of A.
A, E, right? Yeah, and
You
so,
leave Ted Nugent out of this.
yeah. So well, and we want to try to keep the songs at a 3 to 4 minute level, and
Right.
not 87-minute leads. People don't
Right.
want to hear that from us. You know?
Right.
And they want to hear a nice song. They want to come a nice beat, maybe bob your head a little bit and have a good time, right?
Well, some DJs need the record to go to the bathroom.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
Stairway to
yes,
Heaven.
they had
In the old days.
In the old days,
Yeah.
they called it the bathroom tune.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
5 minutes.
Like Eddie
slower.
said, you want to go to White Castle, then you put
I
on
was
Inagata
scared, you know.
Davida.
Yeah.
You got all day.
Plus, it's funny. We play all our songs live. I mean, I couldn't even think of playing a 7-minute song. I'd forget it. I mean,
Really?
yeah,
You know what you do?
You're
You
not
just-
going to hear Till to do La Vida Strangiato.
No, man, you just extend the verse and you jam.
Yeah, well, we're just not that's not our jam band is not our thing. It's just we try to play the songs and
Right.
Well, speaking of that, it's not every day that we get to speak to a South Jersey legend. Tell me, Steve, are there any Tilted songs that you don't enjoy playing but the fans demand?
And by the way, he's
we
not
spoke
reading
to-
any of this.
We spoke to Slash, and his would be "Sweet Child of Mine."
Right.
Really?
Yeah. What would Tilted be?
That's funny. When we wrote one of the first songs we wrote was Rock and Roll Show, and we played it so much early on, and it's actually a bonus track on the record. And we weren't playing it for a while, and people goes, "Man, I wish you did Rock and Roll Show more." And then another one called Stalk Her, same
Right.
thing. We weren't playing that one. I goes, "Wow, how come you didn't do Stalker?"
Right.
And it's pretty funny being in a band like people. I never thought that it'd be people asking me to play songs that I wrote. Right? It's like
Right.
a neat thing. And Steve from
It's
Rip
kinda
here-
cool, yeah.
Steve from Rip can understand this. And we started doing that. And it's not like I didn't dislike them. So I really don't have one I don't dislike. It was just cool to see that people are asking about those songs. Hence
Right.
why we put them on the bonus track on the,
Right.
on the new CD.
And that's in Spanish.
Well,
Bonus
you know
noches.
what's funny though, because I'm not even sure. I think Ripped has 41 recorded and released tracks, and we don't play them all the time.
Right.
It's really not like riding a bike. You do forget them.
I have forgotten some that we're doing now for rehearsal.
Every year I go to Rock to Adopt, and they're like, "You're playing Monkey See, Monkey Do, right?" No.
So you have 41?
Yeah, about
That's
that.
a lot. Yeah, we got about 17, 18.
We got a
But
couple.
don't you tailor make each set to like the venue you're at?
Yeah, but the thing is,
Depends what you're in the mood to play.
yeah, the thing is like Monkey See, Monkey Do. I wrote it for the zoo, but we don't do it all year long.
Right.
We don't rehearse that frequently. I can write them, I just can't play
Well,
them.
you made it tailor-made for that event, right?
Yeah, I did, and we released it, but it's not in our set list.
Plus, there's certain songs you get tired of doing,
wouldn't make
so you kind of
sense.
drop on
Yeah.
the wayside for a while.
I learned that from Alice Cooper, to tell you the truth. There's certain songs that are album tracks, and there's certain songs that are live tracks. And I've
Right.
got plenty of album tracks. We're not playing them live.
Right. Well,
And
it wouldn't make sense to play that Monkey See outside of that event.
yeah, or here.
Right. Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand what you mean by live track and album track. What do you mean?
Different
by that?
things. Some songs are good for an album,
Right.
but live they don't them to them.
Some
But
songs,
live,
yeah,
are great for
there's some-
live.
There's some
Well,
songs you just don't play live for some
Yeah.
reason.
In my case, let's say there's 41 songs, because that's approximately right. I'm not going to do 41 songs at my next show anyway, because I'm not Paul Veneer.
Oh, wow.
However, there might be 12
You're
tracks.
stroking your ego.
However, there might be 12 tracks, and some of them are crowd favorites, some
Right.
of them are band favorites, and some of them I haven't played since we recorded.
And let's say you have 5 ballads that you've written on all different albums.
Beth,
You're not
Beck,
gonna do 5 albums. You're not gonna do 5 mellow songs in the concert.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2.
Rare.
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2. Maybe.
Very rare.
You know, we actually have the same problem as comedians and whatnot, because I know as a comic, sometimes there are certain clubs people just don't want to see me in, and I go there anyway.
I would.
No, but there are people that want to stay. If
They want to see a certain bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
there's
but
certain
they want
bits,
you
yeah.
right, yeah.
Like I don't know what comes to the top of my head when I think of Paul Veneer. I don't know. Aretha Franklin, maybe.
You're the only one who remembers this. I haven't done that in so long.
It's a great bit. I was standing right behind. I was
doesn't
crying.
exist anymore. Doesn't exist anymore.
when
It's
it
just
comes
wrong.
on
The mask doesn't exist.
It's racist.
On the 14 the Head album, the
It's anti-racist.
the Stalker. It sounds pretty self-explanatory, but
Yeah, that's
It's about his grandmother.
There's actually a couple tongue-in-cheek.
that's a very touchy subject.
It's about your grandmother, right, Steve?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. God bless. Yeah, it is.
Couch is covered in plastic.
It's kind of like you see your girl on a train, and
he
you
did not
see her the
say
next day, and you just you want to meet her, and you're just trying to
Stalk her.
stalk. Yeah.
Oh, that's not stalking. It's pathetic.
Yeah, it's just and that's I tell you that one is
That's realistic, though. That's very
that one is
realistic.
like that one's
Yes.
so. I'll tell you that one's so tongue in cheek. It's but people go, you didn't do Stalker tonight. You
Yeah,
know what
but
I mean?
it's true. I think especially guys have gone through that at least one time. You see that one girl,
That's what it
and
is.
you're on the other side of the train station. She gets on the train, and you're like, you can't even see her, and you're watching the train just go away.
That's pretty much
know?
it.
Yeah.
That's not stalking.
That's really what it's about.
I got lucky. I caught her.
I've seen, when I was working with Vic DiBitetto, I worked with him for like 2 years, and he's pretty much had the same set for as long as I can remember. So
But he's still getting paid.
No. That's not even a problem. We go to this one show, and the guy, and he knew Vic. He had hired him before. So he comes in, right? He goes, "Hey, Vic, we're all excited to see you. Oh, I can't wait to hear your all new brand material." Vic's like he's like he has no new material. It was the same thing. He was like, "What am I gonna do?" But they didn't care anyway. It was
I was with Vic DiBitetto the first time he ever did the heads.
Oh, really?
I was with him the very first time he ever did that. I was on the show with
It
him.
was funny because it took the wind right out of his sails when the guy said that. Oh, can't wait! You got all new material.
You know something? The first time I met Vic was at one of your parties when you were doing your comedy show, and Vic was performing, and Ripped was the house band, and I found him really funny.
Yeah,
he's hilarious.
Well, he is.
Yeah.
It's rightly so.
In 1982, I believe it was, we did the Delaware comedy competition. It was a bunch of guys. Came down to 3 guys. I forget who the third guy was. It was and Vic DiBitetto and me, right? And Vic broke out, which I was scared to death he was going to do it, and I'll be doggone if he didn't do it anyway. He broke out the head thing and won Delaware comedy competition. It was the last competition I'd ever go on, ever.
Yeah.
I don't like competition. It brings out the worst in people. It really does.
Well, you know what it was with me is I like if I'm ever do another competition, it's going to be one where the people 100% make the call.
Yeah.
I don't want agents and TV guys.
Well,
let the people decide if I'm that good.
And
if I'm not, I can live with that.
With the music side of that, 'cause I find comedy, music, and art all very intertwined.
Sure.
But with like Steve here from Tilted and Ripped, we've done some shows together, and we're going to do more. I hate the term headlining. It's all subjective. Let's go give them a show.
Right.
It doesn't matter. We'll flip-flop. Who goes on first, second, depends on the occasion.
But I believe you have
or
to
the
be
venue.
confident, though, to feel that way, the way
You know,
you do.
Well,
You
it's
know?
it's so ridiculous when a band is playing with 3 other bands and they're gonna blow you away.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to play with 3 bands that want to deliver
Yeah,
and
you
give
wanna
the
rock the
audience a
house.
great
But
night.
you're right about the
Right.
headliner thing. 40 years of doing this business. You know where I actually learned that from? That guy right there.
Oh, really?
Paul. We were working. I believe it was Chuckles, and I forgot who the other comic was, but the other guy. Both you guys were headlining. I remember the owner looking at you guys and saying, "Well, which one of you guys want to close it?" And you said, "Hey, dude, it doesn't matter. I'm just here to do my job."
Right.
Something like that. You said. I never forgot that. I used to open for him all the time.
I want to bring the table back to Steve. I want to know, one, how did you come up with the name, and how did your band get together?
Tilted came from a bong.
So this is funny how the name came out. Before I had a room above my garage, and I made it into like a poker room. I used to run tournaments and all that stuff.
It was tilted.
Well, there's a poker term when you have a band hand, you get involved in a band.
Right.
I'm tilted. I'm gonna just play nuts, right? So I stopped stopped that league I had in my house, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to make
It's a raid.
So I started the band in 2009. I got laid off from a job. I took a year off. I said, you know, what do I want to do again? I said, I want to put another band back together. So I found, and the band's evolved with different people over those years.
Right.
And then 2009 came. We found about 3 other guys, and then we said, "God, I want to name the band." And Tilted just like
Tilted came.
and that's we call that place. That's the Tilted rehearsal area, the shoe we call it, and that's how the name came about.
I like one-word names too. I do.
Yeah.
I really do like
One
one-word
syllable
names.
direct. I've
So how
always
about
thought
the
that.
people in the band that your group like?
So there's so we had the original guys back in 2009 are not there.
Okay.
Are not there. So I am the only
Original.
original person, but this band has been around now. I mean, probably about a year or so, and people come in and out.
So it's not called Tilted now. Now it's called Till.
Yeah. So I mean, things happen. I mean, my original bass player, he got remarried, he had kids. It just you got to put.
Life happens.
Yeah. So
Are you the founding member?
I am.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So if you have to, and God forbid, but if you have to get a new vocalist, is he going to have to wear Will's headband?
Probably
I mean,
right.
you're following the Kiss
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's how it is. I mean, that's in and out. Yeah. Go
So
ahead.
tell us about the CD release party on
Okay.
the 30th.
Yeah. So that's going to be November 30th at the Brighton Bar in Long Branch. That's kind of where we started.
That's Saturday.
As an original band.
That's your-
Saturday night.
that's your
yeah.
home base, right?
It's kind of like the place where we hone the skills, right? Back when we first started an original band, and then
Right.
that's Saturday night, November 30th. It starts at 7 p.m.
That's Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, Thanksgiving weekend. We have three bands that we chose to open. They're called the UX, Rebels United, and McKell's Plot.
Thanks a lot.
Well,
Thanks.
no, we asked you, and you weren't around.
McHale's Navy, you said?
McKell's Plot.
Tim Conway.
And then we go on at 10 o'clock. We're going to do an 18-song set, full set.
Right.
Play
wow.
about 10 o'clock to about 11:15. So full.
And there's gonna be a girl there with a full set too.
You know
It's
what?
gonna
The
be very
Brighton
nice.
Bar is a great bar because after speaking with Keller, the owner is really cool. He's into the bands. He gets involved. He's not just, So I mean, it's a small little venue. It's intimate.
It is. It's the sound guys are good. We know them for years. The promoter, we did several shows with the promoter in the past. Even with when we did stuff with Ripped, we probably did 2 or 3 shows there, right? Together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
we're-
yeah, we're excited about stuff. It's our quote unquote headline show.
Oh.
And
He's headlining.
whatever that means.
Did he learn nothing?
It's pretty much if you are the last band, and we never
Yeah.
were like that. We always
Right.
like to play actually between 8 and 10.
Right.
That was kind of our.
Rock to Adopt had us headline maybe 3 years ago. I said, okay, we're headlining, but we're going on at 3 p.m.
Right. Yeah, whatever the headline thing is, we've opened up for some very, very cool acts over the years. Major label guys like Ace Frehley at Kiss and Skid Row and Doc, and those are headlining bands, right? And then we open for them as a local act.
Right.
Right.
And that's much different than
So give out the social media. It's Tilted Online.
Yeah, it's tiltedonline.com, and you can find us on Facebook at TiltedNJ.
Okay.
And you can find everything there.
If they want to buy your stuff, they can go on your website.
Go right on Tilted Online. Go right into the menu. You could purchase a
Right.
CD. Find all the
You
media.
have little merch too.
We do have all kinds of merch. We have shirts. You can go on Etsy. We have a Tilted Rock Shop on Etsy.
Oh, cool.
So you can go and buy the regular Tilted shirts, the Full Speed Ahead album shirts. We have the original EP, Full Speed Ahead CD, and live. We even have some couple live CDs that we I call them the Tilted bootlegs. And the tote bags too. That's
Tote
coming
bag.
soon,
There
too.
you go.
Yeah, I heard.
You gotta get a tote
Well,
bag.
if we get tote bags in the merch, everybody will get one. So.
Well, make
Carlo's
sure
the
Carlo
only one who
gets
wants
one.
tote bag.
He wants Fred and Ethel merch.
Carlo likes tote bags. He puts his dolls in there.
This all stemmed from we went to we got invited out to a foreigner show because we had Mick Jones on the show.
But he didn't have a passport.
And
Nope, no passport.
they went there and they you know how they have the VIP packages.
Yep.
Even though we were complimentary, they had a cool looking foreigner tote. And I'm like, I want a foreigner tote, but I finally got one after like 3 or 4 years. So
He
but it was
cried
so now
and
it's
cried
a running gag.
until he got
That's a
one.
good merch item.
Did you ever get your foreign band?
Oh yes.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
John,
He
thanks to
cried
my
loud
buddy
enough.
John Lappin, who's their marketing director and who's always giving us tickets to their shows and stuff.
That's an old
the
Joe.
many tears
That's
that
an old-
Carlo shed.
It's an old Joe the Lion joke he just said.
Yeah.
Guy goes to the bar and he's sitting there at the bar by himself and he hears a nice shirt. He looks around, there's nobody there. He says, nice jacket. He goes, a nice suit. And finally, the bartender goes, what was that? He goes, that's the Peanuts. They're complimentary. That's Joe the Lion joke. Joe the Lion.
I want to know with Foreigner though, is there a song that Mick Jones plays that he doesn't want to do, but he does it for the fans?
That you'd have to ask him. I have no idea.
I don't want to know.
They definitely did it right. With,
But I'm wondering
with
if
that tour.
Mick Jones ever
Oh, yeah.
went into a 7-Eleven and burned his hand on coffee and then
Oh,
wanted
my
to
God.
browbeat a 19-year-old kid on
Okay.
Okay, we're in a personal battle now, folks. Here we go.
I'll tell you what, I got that coffee for free.
Speaking of a personal battle, I have a personal issue with Mr. Keller. You need to explain. You have some explaining to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, folks, hold on.
He
Here we go.
knows. Go ahead.
Here we go.
Hey, Gino, you got the dump button ready?
Lucy, you have explaining to do. No.
He's ready.
I'm ready.
You ready? Go ahead.
I'm ready. Oh, I thought I had
No,
some
I'm
explaining to do.
waiting.
You're waiting.
I'm waiting.
You're wait. This is radio. We're waiting.
Go ahead.
We're-
Keller, you
we're-
said save it for the air.
Save it for the end.
Go ahead.
Hey, man. Why
Yeah.
didn't you tell
Hey,
me
man.
Carl Burnett was yesterday? I would have come in.
And she was asking for you personally too.
I was busy all day.
Oh, yeah, he thought you
called
were
me.
working.
No, I didn't. I just, it was a spur of the moment thing that they had to change.
They moved it from Thursday to.
Yeah.
It was a good interview.
Last minute.
I know. I know.
You didn't come in. I mean,
I know.
Hey,
I would
Steve,
have.
she did it naked too, man. You
Butt
should have
naked.
seen them labias.
like
Like an angelfish.
Paul and Eddie
Wow.
were supposed to be there. They couldn't.
I
even
couldn't
Yeah,
go.
but I could.
I was
didn't even
I was
think-
busy. I'm
First
going
of
getting a
all,
heart
I
attack.
didn't even think you would be interested, but I forgot to ask you.
You're
That was-
assuming I wouldn't be. I grew
No,
up with
you're
Carl.
right.
He said he
All right,
forgot.
I'm
He
just
forgot.
Yeah.
Listen, it was an oversight. It was on.
He
the
doesn't
spur of
want
the
you.
He
moment.
wanted alone.
I
He
just
wanted
was-
alone,
I just
intimate
was
time
hoping
with
it
her.
went well. I just wanted it to go well. The audio was clear.
It went really well.
wasn't
It was a good
overly
interview.
pushy.
It's a very good
Well,
interview.
well, here's something. This is what got my balls in a rice.
Oh, something happened. I don't know. I woke up. I was like, what?
Do not insult the rice balls. Now it's
We'll help
personal.
you get up. We'll help you get up. Don't worry.
No, I woke up last night.
He woke up salty.
I woke up around midnight, 11
He was
o'clock. I don't know.
I was
had
I was still up. It was afternoon.
And I had a message from Steve here,
Okay.
and he said I was bumped to December, and I said, oh, okay.
They mustered you. Huh?
So, yeah. And I don't know if you guys realize it, but I stand up for you, and I stand up for him.
You're sitting down right now.
Well, I stand up for him.
I was put up.
He's still sitting down, isn't he?
So, listen, I'm going to tell you about you now. If you want to
not a phone
promote
book.
something, you're going to have to call Eddie Trunk or Jim Kerr because you fucked with me.
I was put up to it. I was told to do it.
You
I
made
did.
a big mistake. You made a mistake.
All I know is
So,
I woke up very salty.
Did you wake up sore? You said.
I
No, he was
woke up
salty.
and I was
I'm
texting
sweet. I'm always
everybody
sweet.
because Carlo asked me for Stevie's number the other night, and I said, "You're not bumping him. You're not bumping him," and he wouldn't respond to me. You're not
No,
bumping
I
him.
wasn't bumping. I like to get to know the person.
Listen.
Go out on a date. Go to
Yeah,
Russia.
nothing so big.
I mean, I understand that when it's Tony Katane, but we're talking Stevie C.
Wow.
I wanted to tell him because even though you emailed me the tracks, I'd rather have a physical copy because
Whoa,
Gene is very.
that's what I said about Carol.
He wanted to get physical.
Wow.
I wanted a physical copy because Gene.
What are we
is
having,
very
Olivia
remiss
Newton-John
with
now, or what?
emails.
We miss.
Gene is like.
That's good.
Oy
Oh.
vey, this is a nice Jewish dinner.
Gene will be like, oh, I downloaded it, but I can't find it, buddy. So if you hand it to him and he doesn't take it home,
So you know what we got to do?
But
Gene, find out
We
if
got to
Joyce
yell at
DeWitt wants to
Gene
be on the
because he
show.
owes me like 5 CDs.
he said, well, supposedly he took them all home and then he brought them all back now.
Oh yeah,
What time do you
She's late, so we're.
she's
Oh,
late.
no, at that
oh,
age. It wasn't me. I'm
Hey,
still
let me
on
ask you
her.
a quick-
Yeah.
So it's
I
gonna be,
figured that time had passed.
so it's gonna be Force Company.
Way too much yelling, and this is not how it's gonna go. So let's.
Woo!
Sister Mary Elephant here.
So if she's late, she's gonna be Force Company.
Yeah, right. She's
So
gonna
so
be
basically,
pregnant.
so that's what happened. So here I am thinking I'm getting punked by Mr. Keller, and I'm saying, why is he messing with me, this kid?
No.
Wait, does she
no.
realize it's Eastern time and not?
The funny thing was Steve texts me all this stuff, and I go, I don't know what this means.
Me neither.
What does this mean? He's like, can I call you? Of course, I'm up.
What I wanted to do was introduce myself and tell him that there was going to be 2 other guests, that he wasn't going to get slighted, and I
Slighted.
wasn't going to not give him ample time.
But he was gonna get,
Ample. Oh, you're on a roll, man.
and to make sure that he brought in a couple of physical copies so that we had him and it can go into
'Cause
rotation.
he does
Well, you
like
wanted
to
Led
get physical.
Zeppelin albums? What?
Well, hey.
Physical copies.
We saw the building.
oh boy. So anyway, so you clarified things.
Oh,
Thank
you know the best line of the night, though, even though these are really good words,
Mm-hmm.
I like when he was talking to Rodney earlier, and he said how not to be a hostage.
Not to be a hostage.
You know what? it's funny, but that kid's specialty was teaches people how not to become high. That was his thing, and he was like a special. His name was Jason. And if I got Colonel Vici, I don't have 3 hours, but if I got Colonel Vici on the phone, he would explain it to you because he.
Yeah.
You know
it's just
who
very
you should give
odd,
that
of
lesson
course.
to? The new singer, Arnell, for Journey. Because I think they unchain him from the radiator every night when it's showtime.
Carlos, do you remember?
What did I add an
anything
S to
from
my name all of a sudden?
Carlo?
Yeah.
What did I say? Call
Carlos.
Carlos. Hey,
Carlos.
Carlos, man.
My wife calls me up as a joke. She does it as a
listen,
joke.
man.
He's still at the Cheech and Chong show. That's right.
So, what did you learn new from Carol Burnett, of Carol Burnett, what you never knew before?
Nothing. I knew it all.
She's a B cup.
Still?
I never knew that she started comedy late. I never knew she was a late bloomer.
All these chicks are late.
She was a Broadway actress. She was a Broadway actress
18
first.
years old, and she didn't say what
Well, 18
fascinated
isn't
me.
so late.
No, but what fascinated me about her is that she didn't set out to do this, and she became like you would think that she was born to do it, but you would have think that she would have started.
She was a
like,
natural,
from
but
like
yeah.
4 years old on. She's been doing it in some form of entertainment, but she didn't like 18 years old, and then she became one of.
And her grandmother raised her.
you know?
Yeah.
And that's why she pulls on her ear. That's a sign
Wasn't
to
that
her
the
mother,
coolest
grandmother.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
It was a good interview.
So basically, what was, I'm sure she been asked this like 10,000 times how
Blood
she
type?
got started.
Clariel, number 9.
How'd she get started?
She
in the
got
business?
started with
Broadway.
Broadway, and then I think
Well, she said her
At,
biggest.
at 18 years old, she just decided to go for an audition.
No, she went for a live
No,
audition,
no,
but she
no.
got this one thing.
she
but
went
she
to
went to
college
school.
and-
She went to theater school.
And they made her take all
Right.
these different types of classes, and then she was on, was it Paul Winchell?
No, she was on Broadway, and then she got discovered by Gary Moore. Gary Moore put her in because what's her name? Martha Ray got sick, so she filled in for Martha Ray and got a permanent job out of it.
You know what I found most fascinating about the whole story about her life is at 4 years old she wanted to write comic strips.
Right.
And then that's what the
That's
comic,
very cool.
Yeah, and she ended up becoming essentially a
Literally.
comic strip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you had really good comic strips all through the years, and that's what she ended up becoming. I just thought that was fascinating. She
Yeah.
ended up becoming what she initially wanted
Set
to be in the
herself
first
out
place.
to be,
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was really
That's
cool.
amazing.
Very talented lady. And very
That was a
nice
great
lady.
interview.
Very
I don't
nice
care.
It really
That was
was
a
a
great
good
interview.
interview. Well, she's a good subject.
Yeah, she's a
I
really
mean,
nice
she
person, too.
carried it. Yeah.
Do any of you watch the old Carol Burnett show? It's
Oh, loved it.
Isn't
All
it?
of
It's
us. Yeah.
Still watch it. We still watch it.
legendary.
That
That's amazing.
I started with Red Skelton, and that's what got me interested.
I love
Period
Red
with it.
Skelton. I
Would
love
And
it.
then
love to see those TV shows come back. When I'm saying TV shows, like personalities like that to come out, like the Red Skelton, Carol Burnett.
They're not going to
it
happen.
can't happen. You know, it
Like-
can't happen. You know why?
like-
The reason it can't happen nowadays is because there are people out there that produce these things and direct these things.
Right.
They're thinking dollar signs instead of the quality of.
Right.
Exactly.
It's the same thing with
You'll never-
musicians.
you'll never see-
You know how many times I've gone in different places and I have heard people that can play that are really freaking good, and they're not getting young people, and they're not getting any shot because they don't fit a
I can
a
explain
box.
that. I can
That's
explain that if you
wrong.
want to know why. It's just no one supports the bands anymore. These super bands that have been around 30, 40 years, once they're gone, they're gone.
Right.
It's going to be very difficult for
Yeah.
a band to get
Who's
all the
the-
support.
Who's the last rock
There'll never
star,
be a variety
in your
show
opinion?
again.
The last
Like that.
rock star.
Right
me?
now,
Yeah, like who's the last one that exists?
Hee
there's
Haw,
there's some.
Rowan and Martin laughing.
It's those
The
bands
la-
we love.
the
They're
last-
still there. It's those
Rock
classic
stars?
bands that are still
Alice.
playing.
The last great.
The last one that made it. I think it's Slash.
Oh, the last one. Okay.
The last one that like, is there going to be one after?
I say Bowie.
The last one?
No, he's
No,
he's in the beginning.
Yeah, he's in the
So
midst.
you're saying that when Guns N' Roses?
I don't know. I think Miles Kennedy is awesome, but I'm not sure he's the
Oh,
rock
here's a
star.
call. Here's the call.
Good question.
Hello, Joyce.
Hello?
Hello.
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 Animal House Radio, you're on the air. Good evening.
Anybody there, Gene?
Did we lose him?
Her.
Oh, time zone difference.
Probably gonna
We got to wait 3 hours.
But you're not going to see him variety shows anymore. Like when Eddie was talking, but you had the Red Skelton show, Danny Kaye.
Joyce.
Joyce?
Yes.
Hi,
All
how
right.
are you? All right, everybody. It is 8:54. Joining us now on the phone is a very lovely and talented actress. You may remember her from this little hit TV show called Three's Company.
Yeah.
Please welcome for the first time making her Animal House Radio show debut, Miss Joyce DeWitt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for calling in.
Sweetheart, forgive me for being late calling.
No problem.
I had the note all day of what time I should call, and then, of course, I got back in the house from the grocery and forgot to do it.
No, that's quite all right. No apologies necessary. We're just glad that you're here now.
Hey, listen, I don't want to interrupt, but I will. We got our guest in the studio, Steve Cavaco, and as you came on the line, I pointed to your picture, and he mouthed, "I love her."
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, let me tell you, that's quite a mouth, too.
Talk about a right place at the right time. I'm honored to hear you talk. Thank you.
Joyce, I know you're so busy, and I'm glad that your voice is healed.
Oh, my land. It was about 10 days of me talking like this. So it was quite a case of a flu version of laryngitis, which I didn't know existed.
Wow.
So it turns out there's a kind of laryngitis that's flu and brings the laryngitis. So who knew?
Oh, wow.
I thought I was just tired from a big event and I had used my voice too much. And then as the days unfolded, no.
Oh,
and
boy.
how are you, Carlo?
I'm doing very good. It was a pleasure to meet you at Chiller, and the fountain of you must have found the fountain of youth. 'Cause
Hello.
You looked like you were 19 years old.
Well, you see the picture in the attic.
Well, that is very kind, and I do think you should have your eyes checked.
Well, I'm wearing glasses. No, I'm just kidding. I can't tell you, and all our servicemen and women and everybody who doesn't serve in the military, they've loved you and watched you on TV for so many years.
As all of us have.
Yes, everybody here, and it's amazing, the show, how iconic it became. Last month we had Richard Klein on, and he was a fabulous interview, and we were, when I saw you were going to be at the Chiller, I said we got to have her on because, one of the things that fascinated me about that show is, and I think it's a lost art nowadays, is the physical comedy.
Oh, yeah,
Exactly.
great.
Yeah, it was very lucky to have so much opportunity to do that. I think that, I don't know, I don't think John and I knew each other even a day before we knew each other on that kind of level.
Right.
We could communicate kinesthetically.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have to talk. We didn't have to say anything. My body would move where his body moved. It was as if we had been
You guys had
ballet,
great- yeah.
dancing, coordinated, choreographed, for years of our life. Our bodies understood how to talk to each other.
Right.
And it was, a great gift, and just outrageous gift.
And that show had great chemistry. You guys all had great
Absolutely,
chemistry
yeah.
on that show.
Now,
It did. We were also lucky. I mean, we had the best writers
Yeah.
and fabulous producers, a terrific staff, our crew. Some of the crew, we shot at CBS Television City.
Right.
Even though we were an ABC show, our producers had been writers and story editors for Norman Lear on All in the Family.
Right.
And then when Norman spun The Jeffersons off, they produced it for him.
Right.
So Three's Company was their first project on their own. But all of those years of working with Norman and his shows, they had shot at CBS Television City, and they knew it was the finest tape facility in the city at the time.
Right.
And so they arranged for us to rent space there. So even though we were this ABC show, we were in CBS, shooting at CBS, and some of our crew members were shot live Playhouse 90 in the 50s.
Oh, okay.
So we had a crew that was sent from some other universe as a
Yeah.
gift from God to us.
Yeah.
And that has so much to do with why the physical humor in the show works so beautifully.
Right.
Because we shot live, and I mean we shot live. We shot that show
I know.
as if it was a one-act play,
Yep.
with the audience in, curtain up, light the lights. So all of those physical things were done full out, nonstop, right in the middle of the scene,
Right.
so that they could be real. Because, farce comedy is so fragile. You have
Yeah.
to start running at the top of the show, and you don't stop till it's over.
Yeah.
So for those to work as well as they did, you had to do it the same way you would do a play. There is no stop. There's no preset. There's no pads on the floor to protect you. You just do it.
Right.
And because we had this remarkable crew and a brilliant director who could move that crew where we needed them to be, we were able to do it absolutely full out live, no pretending, and they could shoot it.
Right.
So we were extremely lucky. And the cast. I mean,
Great
it's like we
cast.
all
Great cast.
got so lucky. We found each other,
Yeah.
and we got to do this funny show.
Norman Lear was a genius, no doubt. Did they allow you? Did you have to follow the script, or were you allowed to, ad lib and improv?
Not once the audience was in. I mean, seriously, we did it like a play.
Right.
But we would get a new script on Monday mornings and do a cold read for the writers and the staff and the producers. And then we'd take a break and they would do some cuts and changes in that material that they had heard. Once they hear it out loud, they can hear whether it's working, if the joke fires, if the intention is clear. And then after lunch, we would come back and everybody would leave except our director, wonderful Dave Powers, and the cast. And we would begin setting the play in the same way that you would do in a rehearsal hall, not in the studio, not on a set, the same way you would do in the theater. In a rehearsal hall, no doors, no walls, no platforms, a few pieces of rehearsal furniture, and we would start to set the play on its feet.
Right.
And during that period of time, so we're now Monday afternoon. Wednesday afternoon, we're going to do a full run-through for the staff again and the writers and the producers,
Right.
nonstop. We're going to do the play for them on Wednesday afternoon. So we have Monday afternoon and Tuesday and Wednesday morning to put it all together and put it on its feet and then show them the play. During that period of time, like in the script, it would say, Janet teaches Jack how to ski. That's
Right.
it. That's
Right.
what it would say.
Right.
So we would play around and try anything and until we came up with what worked, what seemed to go from one moment to the next and make sense.
Right.
And that's what we would do. So the physical humor we created
Right.
out of a concept that they put there, like Janet teaches Jack how to ski. So during that period of time, we tried everything and anything. And we would send up requests for a rewrite on this line, or our director would tell them we'd taken out these two lines to make it the scene flow better or the joke fire better. And then they would come on Wednesday and they would see what we had done. And then, of course, they would have, their notes and cuts and changes and la, 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 la. So, but once the audience, then on Thursday, we would go into the studio and we would work all day with the cameras and the lights and the sound people so that they could now shoot the play, so that it would be the play that we were doing. Now we're on the set, so we actually have doors, and we're not going ring ring for the phone or ding dong for the front door for Mr. Furley to come and something ridiculous, We're now working all day, and at the end of that day, Thursday, we would then do a run-through of the play on camera so that our producers could then watch it literally on the monitors, the way in which America would ultimately see it, while our director is calling the shots, which camera is putting up a shot at each moment, after which there'll be notes, cuts, and changes. Then we come in on Friday and run it with the crew, and then at 5:30, they'd bring in an audience. We would do the full play. During dinner break, they'd have cuts and changes because it was always too long. They never allowed enough time for the amount of laughter we would get. And we would do another show with a different audience at 8 o'clock, another performance. During those performances, the play was set.
Right.
It was as if, if you went to Broadway and sat down and watched the play, you would see physically movement and so on and so forth, the same play that the people saw at the matinee that afternoon.
Right.
But of course, it's always changed slightly because the audience is the last member of the cast.
Right.
So there's this rhythm of when they wish to enter in, when they want to be vocal, when they want to gasp, when they want to not respond. That dance is always brand new in every performance because literally the audience is the last member of the cast. And until they make their voice known, the play isn't exactly the same ever.
Right.
But yeah, once we were doing it out there, every once in a while at the end of a scene, we might play around and do something that had not been rehearsed. But that would be because we knew where the shot was. We're at the final shot of the scene. We know where the camera is, so we know what's on camera and not on camera.
Right.
So that we did, because we worked the way we did in absolutely pristine live circumstance, which nobody else worked like that before or since, without stopping and without presetting, without rearranging, we had to make sure that anything we might think to put in that might blow it, fly into our mind from some angle, we would have to know that it was in the shot.
Right.
Otherwise, when you go back and do pickups, when you're shooting live like that, a laugh has a beginning, a fullness, an arc, and a denouement.
Right.
You can't cut a laugh. You have to be able to let it play.
Yeah.
So for us to go back and do pickups and piecemeal it together would have taken out, I think, the quality that caused the show to be so successful. It was wild, shot out of a cannon, and we just kept playing until it was over.
Yeah.
And I think that energy has a lot to do with why people found it funny and still do, you know?
Oh, wow. Steve, you had a question?
Yeah, so you're telling us basically there was no, or at least very few retakes?
Yes, unbelievably so. Like the fellow that I was living with during part of the years of the early years was doing a recurring role on Rhoda, which was one of the Mary Tyler Moore shows that was on.
Yeah, I remember it well.
And I would be home at 11:30 at night. We both shot on Friday night, and he would come home at 4 a.m. Because we perfected that play, and we did that play.
Right.
Full out and as rehearsed, not in pieces.
Right.
I mean, we literally changed right off the set in little curtained quick change booths. Ordinarily, when they, in those days, it's quite different now, but when a sitcom was being shot, a stand-up comedian would be hired and they would shoot a scene, and then they would move all the equipment down to the next set, like say from our living room to the Regal Beagle.
Right.
They'd move all the equipment down. The actors go to their dressing room, they change clothes, they get their makeup touched up, during which time there's a comedian out there keeping the audience happy and entertained and in the swing of the moment.
Yeah, the warm-up.
And then the next scene is shot. And then they break and they move the equipment and and the actors go change. But unless one of us unless we could not possibly start the next scene without stopping, we did not. And that has to do with our brilliant director, Dave Powers.
Right.
He would have one of the cameras tiptoe. And the cameras at that time were about the size of 2 washing machines.
Yeah, they were gigantic, yeah.
And the cable that, extended from them were massive cables. There was another man, at the time, they were mostly men, carrying this massive cable with this, and the cameraman with this huge camera, and they're tiptoeing one step at a time down to the Regal Beagle. He would break one camera. There's 2 sound men. They're on a platform that's about my shoulder height that they're standing on with a boom that shoots out over the set, so it's above and can't be seen. We're moving one of those, tiptoeing down to the Regal Beagle, so that the minute we finish the scene in the living room, he pops the lights in the Regal Beagle, and the next scene begins.
Wow.
I mean, there was no one like him.
Yeah.
And literally, it required a brilliant crew and the guidance of Dave Powers for our show to look the way it looked. So yes, in the end, we'd shoot the second show, and then they'd go in and they'd look at both and make sure they had everything, that everything was covered. And our director would come out on the sound system, and he would announce, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, great week, and that's a wrap. And our guest stars would laugh. They would think this was like a joke because it was so early. And we would say, no, guys, that's it. We're done.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, yes, it was unusual for us to do pickups.
I was at one of the
But
tapes.
that's the way in which we shot, and that really is Dave Powers, our director.
I was at one of the taping of one of your shows later on in the series, and it was so much fun watching. It really was a lot of fun watching.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, there was never a moment, once the audience was in and curtain up and light the lights, never one moment of shooting that show with the audience in that was anything short of ecstatic.
Yep.
It was sheer joy to do it and to work with those actors. We had a very good time.
Yeah, and it
Joyce,
showed.
We
It
have
showed.
we have a very special guest in studio. He's a friend of our show. He's a very, very funny national headlining comedian. He's also a veteran, and he wanted to come in today to visit us, but he also was excited to speak with you. His name is Eddie Clark.
Hi, how are you, Joyce?
I'm good, Eddie. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I just wanted to ask you, as a kid growing up, I'm in my 60s, and as a kid growing up, one of my funniest guys I ever saw on TV or in the movies was Don Knotts. I was just wondering, what was it like working with Don Knotts?
Oh my God, so precious. I call him Little Donnie Nuts, and that's because Don was such an unassuming, gracious human being. He would never ask for himself, so I would make sure that he was taken care of all the time. He was soft-spoken, smart, so talented,
Very talented.
but very gracious and low-key. Absolutely nothing like the characters that made him so famous.
Exactly.
He couldn't, as a person, have been any more opposite. And he would walk on stage, and it was like somebody plugged him into the Energizer Bunny outlet. It was like, holy cow. And meticulous. His daughter, Karen, does a one-woman show, and I think it's called something like Tied Up in Knots, Knotts, or Growing Up Knots, something. I think it's Tied Up in Knots. But she talks about her life with her dad.
Oh, wow,
And
that's
she
amazing.
talks about sitting as a child on the floor outside the bathroom door and listening through the door as her father would go through every word of every line over and over again until he decided exactly how each word should be said in order to support the punchline or the sincerity of the moment. He was a very, very accomplished,
A real pro.
dedicated actor.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And one of the most precious human beings you could ever have the pleasure of knowing.
And then they would change the lines once he got on set.
No. I remember him being discovered on the Steve Allen show, the old Tonight Show. That's what I remember.
Steve, you have a question?
Yes.
I do. I have a question. I don't want to be fanboy to Joyce, but I really am. Joyce, my name is Steve. I love the Three's Company show.
Hi, Gigi.
Hi.
Thank
I feel like a
you.
little fanboy. It's crazy. I'm like 50, and so you can imagine being my age, watching you at that show. It was a lot of fun. But I had a question. There's 2 episodes that I felt that were just your best 2 episodes, in my opinion. Were these was when you were going to be a dancer and that jerk at the end. That one that one still gets to me when I watch it. And then of course when he got married at the end. Those 2. So my question is
jealous.
Was there any yeah, true. The question is there any episodes to you that come to mind? Because I like the show in every way. When it was the Roper years, when it was the Furley years, of course Suzanne years, Priscilla years, Jenny Lee.
He liked the show.
I love the show to death.
He liked your
I
show.
can go through. I could go through
Yes,
every episode. But is there any
somebody
ones that come to
recently
mind?
told me
Yes, number 88.
That in terms of replacing a character on a well-established show, that the most seamless situation of that happening was the Ropers to Mr. Furley.
Right.
That they were both such powerful
Yep.
presences, such fabulous characters, such wonderful actors, that it was seamless moving from one to the other in terms of the strength of the show as a whole. And I do think that is absolutely true. Norman and Audra were fabulous to work with and just so elegant and excellent as those characters. And then comes Don Knotts. I mean, we couldn't believe that this icon of comedy, was going to come into our show. And again, he came in so unassuming and so gracious. And it was just beautiful to have him there. And the worst thing that could happen to you, probably as an actor trying to not break up in a scene, would be if the first time, the Thursday, at the end of the day, Thursday, after the camera blocking all day, the run-through on camera for the producers, we didn't do hair and makeup or anything like that, but we did do full costumes because you need to see them. Videotape can strobe certain patterns and colors come out strange. So they had to see it all to see if that's what we were really going to wear the next day. So if it was the first time that Mr. Furley was going to come to the door and you were going to have to open that door, it would be the first time you were going to see what he was wearing.
Right. The big white
You would
ties
have
and
to
the
just
striped
bite
pants.
the inside of your jaw.
I remember that.
To keep from breaking up because, he and Len Marcus, our costume designer, would work very hard on those outfits that he would show us in.
Tim, you had a question?
Yeah, Joyce. This is the Eggman. How you doing tonight?
Good, thank you.
I'm a former porn
Tell me
actor.
what the Eggman is.
That's me. I am the Eggman, and
He's a comedian.
yeah,
They're all
I'm a
comedians.
former porn. I'm a former porn actor, and my movie name was Don Nuts. And you might have seen a couple of the movies. The very first one was Nuts Landing. I also did a follow-up called "You Must Be Nuts," and Nuts Berry Farm. But yeah, I just wanted to say hi.
Well, you've had quite a career there.
Oh, it's not over. What?
He goes all out.
Joyce, let me ask you a
It
question.
sounds like it.
She likes me.
Joyce, when it came to, did you have to audition or did they seek you out? And when did you know that you wanted to be an actress? When did it start for you? Like,
Oh, I was very small. I fell in love with old movies as a child, and I knew that that's what I would do. I did not realize in watching film, they say film is a director's medium, which as a stage actress, which is what I had been before Three's Company, I never could understand that. I thought, well, I don't get that. You know, the actor's the one who's out there. But in film, the director is choosing the shot, the angle of the camera, the lighting. He's in control of the impact that each moment of the film is going to have. So as I was passionately falling in love with old movies on TV and totally in love with Clark Gable, it was actually directing that I had fallen in love with. I didn't know I couldn't tell. It looked like what Spencer Tracy was doing is what I was falling in love with. I actually had fallen in love with directing, which I didn't realize till 20 years later. But I was very young, and I just sort of knew that that's what I was going to do.
oh wow.
And in terms of Three's Company, I had done a guest spot on Beretta, which was a dramatic piece.
I love that show.
And it was just a scene. Yeah, it was a scene with Bobby and I, just the two of us. And the executive producer was directing that particular episode. And Bobby's a stage actor, and he would just say anything and make up anything. Well, I'm a stage actor. You throw me a line, I'll throw you a line. It's not going to, and film actors don't have that kind of background.
Right.
So it ended up that we shot this one little scene for 4 hours, over and over and over and over. When it aired, the William Morris Agency came looking for me.
Oh, cool.
I did not have an agent. And they then took that and showed it to ABC. And ABC was committed to becoming the king of comedy at the time, the network, that was king of comedy. And they said, well, yeah, she's good, but it's dramatic. And then shortly thereafter, they were auditioning for the Fonz's girlfriend. There were intention at the time. There was intention at the time to spin Henry off into his own series.
Right.
And so they were having his girlfriend do a guest spot on Happy Days and spin them off, which did not happen. So when I did that audition, everybody who had, all the vice presidents in New York and LA, everybody who had a say and who was going to get to play the Fonz's girlfriend was in that room. And usually there are 2 or 3 people when you read for a guest spot on a TV show. There were like 20 people in that room.
Oh, wow.
And before I got home from that audition, my agent called, left a message, call me right away, and said they want to go a different direction with the character. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like this sort of short, round person in a room with all these gorgeous women. I'm guessing that, yeah. And he goes, but they'd like to pay you a lot of money not to work for another network till they find a show for you.
That's wow.
And so they began sending me scripts, and I would read them and decide if I wanted to meet with those producers. And Three's Company was one of the projects that they sent to me.
That's cool.
And at the time, when I went to meet with them, it was for a show called Mixed Singles. And I actually was aware of a pilot that had been done for it prior that was called Three's Company. And when I was leaving the meeting, I said, and they had nothing for me to read except the original pilot script for the British show that ours was based on.
Right.
And I said, did you ever talk about doing this with a different title or something? This is so familiar, something that came across my to a friend, not an ABC show, or not at the same time, under a different title. And they said, oh yeah, Larry Gelbart had written that original pilot, which we're not doing, and he owns the title because he created the title. And so we're negotiating to buy the title from him.
Oh wow!
So they did, and it became Back to Three's Company. But yes, that was obviously the producers were interested in me once they found out that I was okay to be around. because the network had invested in me, and the network wanted me in a show, and they wanted their show to go forward. So, you know, I had a bit of more than good fortune going in, you know, to that meeting with them. And then we all were comfortable together, and it seemed like we could do this, and, you know, so yeah. And there actually, John and I did worked with two Christies before Suzanne that America never saw.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So it was a process of finding the right person for that role, which indeed they did so very well in finding Suzanne ultimately.
Artie, you had a question?
Yeah. Hello, darling. Were there any scenes or lines that made you cringe that you were afraid to do, or that like made you very nervous? Like, are you kidding me?
Well, I was what, you know, probably everybody would have wanted to. They never did, but they probably wanted to call me Tex Bad Girl, because I would fight for character integrity and character truth every step of the way. I didn't care if it was a great punchline, a great laugh line, if it was out of character integrity. So I would battle from day one until they would rewrite. So it was rare for them to write something that was just inappropriate, and it wouldn't come out of my mouth. It was unusual for them to write something that was not in character truth, but there was no way. When you play a role, you are the custodian of that character. You are the caretaker. Right. You are the line of defense. And as an actor, it's your job in every single moment that character be in truth and be in integrity with who that character is. Yeah. So I take that very seriously. And it didn't matter if it was my line or somebody else's line. If it was John's line, I would say, you know what, that's highly inappropriate, and it pushes the envelope too far, crosses the line, and I didn't care whose it was. Right. I would stand my ground and fight. I didn't always win. I did with my character, but I didn't necessarily win with everybody else's. But I would defend everybody. You know, it wouldn't work for me not to do that.
Were there any pieces that
you
regretted?
In fact, we would do photo sessions at the beginning of every season. The cast would be gathered before we started shooting at the ABC studios, and their in-house photographers would shoot the cast picture and the individual pictures and trio pictures and Roper pictures. You know, we'd be there for an entire day of shooting. And then after the first season, and I'm like, this little person that doesn't really have any clout, but the PR department would just, a newspaper in Detroit would say, we want a cover picture for our, Sunday TV magazine that goes in the Sunday paper. And ABC would send out a picture, and they did not always carefully look at the pictures. So there were pictures where I would see, that everybody didn't look good, or they were, just not excellent pictures, knowing that there had been so many taken, a better one existed. So I actually refused to go to the photo sessions unless they would let me have photo approval. Now, nobody working for the network had photo approval.
Right.
So they finally agreed, and so I went, and I took one of those things. Back in the olden days, people would have this thing on their desk. It was like a tall spike, and they would stick Post-it, notes, messages on it.
Yeah.
I took one of those, and I went through every single picture, not just my pictures, the cast pictures, all of Audra's singles, John's singles, everybody. And I would literally poke holes in the slide so they couldn't move them because I didn't trust that they would not.
Paul, you had a question?
So you can see it might be that some people might have wanted to call me Tex Bad Girl.
Right. Paul? Joyce, this is Paul Veneer again. I just got to tell you, what my favorite thing about the show is the generational appreciation for that show. Because I was a fan of the show, when the show was on. But then my kids were born in the 90s. They became fans of the show, so I got to watch the whole series again in reruns, and it was great. So the show's not dated.
That's so sweet. I love it.
Yeah, the show's not dated.
I met a young man once who said that when he was in grade school, and he was a little boy, he loved the show. It was just so physically funny and silly, and Mr. Furley's stupid clothes, la 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 la.
Right.
And then when he was in high school, He was playing sports and da-da-da-da, and he totally left watching television. He did not watch TV all through high school.
Right.
Then he joined a fraternity in college, and he came downstairs one day, and he heard his fraternity brothers in the TV room all just laughing.
Hey.
And he went in and said, what are you guys doing, They said, we're watching Three's Company. He goes, I watched that when I was a kid. And they go, sit down. And he saw it now as a 18, 19-year-old,
Right.
and he saw a very different show.
Yeah,
You know, all of a sudden, he got the stuff he didn't notice as a child.
Right.
So, yeah, it's lovely that,
Yeah, the show's not
it has-
the show's not dated at all. I mean, it transcends all that.
Aren't we lucky?
Yeah.
You
Gisella?
really, really find humor. If it's done well, it should have a certain timelessness about it.
Definitely.
Because funny is funny.
And,
Yes,
and
exactly.
And it was character driven. That's why.
Gisella?
Exactly.
on-
Exactly. Thank you for saying that.
On that point,
The show was indeed
She's so
character
cute.
driven, and the comedy came out of
Right.
the interactions and the relationships of those characters. And that is a very astute comment, and thank you for bringing that up. Again, then we have to go back to our extraordinarily talented writers and producers,
Right.
that they gave us that material.
Yeah.
That we started out with a fabulous skeleton that we could now put the muscles and the skin and all that on top of. But what they gave us was character driven from the first moment.
Oh yeah.
and being that it was character driven. My name is Gisella, by the way, and
Hi.
my family was born in Italy, so I was a child of
we
the
have
late-
a similar background.
Yes, the late 80s. So one of the programs I was allowed to watch, because I wasn't allowed to watch so many programs, was Three's Company. So my sister and I would watch it all the time. And my parents really didn't speak English. My grandparents didn't speak English. And they would just crack up laughing, hysterical, because of the physical comedy also that was involved in the programming. And
Yes,
your
thank you
character
for-
was such a strong character that, like my mother, I guess, allowed us to watch it because you were just not allowing anyone, to take advantage of you as far as a female. You were a strong female character. And
With nice legs.
so my
Thank
sister and I,
you.
we looked up to that.
I didn't go that
it
route. I
was-
was going to.
It was,
Yes,
it was really cool.
I've had young women stop me on the street, like in New York, where you walk everywhere, and start to cry and take me in their arms and say, I became a lawyer because of you. I mean, yes, the good fortune of my getting to create her and play her, and the relationship that has caused for me to have with young women and older women, I love it. I'm grateful, just utterly grateful. And many times people have said to me that they came to this country not knowing anyone, not speaking English, by themselves alone in a whole new world, and that they learned to speak English by watching the show because they could tell what we were saying by what we were doing, just, as your relatives did. And that's like, you glow for about 3 days after somebody does something like that to you.
Joyce,
huge heart stuff.
Joyce, I almost said Janet. I can't believe that's how. Growing up in the 80s, the early 70s, the late 70s and 80s, and watching these shows, and they looked like so much fun to do. It looked like it didn't look like work to a lot of the actors. Your show being one of them, the main ones. Nowadays when they do sitcoms, it's like, it seems like there are a lot of great shows on TV, like the Big Bang Theory. I think is brilliantly written, but they don't seem like they have that 80s and 70s chutzpah like it used to be. But
it's good.
That being said, with the subject, now the show was a hit. It was a smash hit. First of all, did you guys have any idea it was going to blow up to be this? And because of the theme of the man with two women, was there any backlash of that in the public?
There was. Now, we were trying to do a contemporary version of a 16th century French farce, of a Feydeau farce.
Right.
And farce comedy is very particular. It's about misconception, misunderstanding, doors slamming, physical comedy, and sexual innuendo mixed in that ball.
Right.
So that was what we set out to do. was to create a contemporary version of that 16th century French farce. So all those colors were in there. 95% of the audience was just fine with that because they realized nobody ever got any. It was just innuendo, you know.
Plus, it was the
for sake
70s.
of comedy.
I was a
Not
teen.
for
I got plenty.
TV or whatever, you know. It was pretty darn innocent, even though there was this playfulness about sexuality. There was a small percentage of the audience, the very religious right in particular, who, you know, didn't like it and took issue with it. So there was a period of time where those kind of articles were being written. It was a short period of time. They didn't get any wind in their sails, so it kind of went away. But I get it. You know, not everybody is comfortable with that. But the marvelous thing about comedy, I mean, it has to do with John's character pretending to be gay.
Right.
We had such a huge audience in the gay community, which we did not expect. We hadn't really thought about it one way or the other. But the only characters in the play who had a problem with John perhaps, in fact, being gay, that he was pretending to be,
Mr. Roper.
were the buffoons, were, you know, Mr. Roper and Mr. Furley.
Exactly.
So the wonderful tool that comedy can be, you know, if you try to teach somebody something, you just sort of beat them over the head and they stop listening. But comedy, you can put these things out there that people aren't talking about, like the world of gay or sexual activity, the fact that people are sexual beings. You can throw in these things that society is not allowing themselves to talk about without making that the point and making people uncomfortable. And if they can laugh at something, if you can laugh together, you can figure out how to navigate anything.
Plus, Joyce, it was the 70s,
That's
you
one
know?
of the great tools that comedy can be. It allows you to talk about things that society isn't necessarily maybe ready to talk about. So you just kind of mention it in some hysterical way, and then you move on.
Right.
But there it is. It's actually been there. There's a character pretending to be gay on national television.
Plus, Joyce,
You know?
it was the 70s.
Yeah.
the people were accepting that stuff.
Yeah.
There was a similar theme in my final movie. It was called Forget Me Nuts.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Real quick, you can attest to how big Three's Company was. It had 2 spin-offs.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? I mean, huge shows have...
Yeah,
now,
the
whether
Ropers, for sure.
Yeah, Ropers and Three's a Crowd, right?
Right,
So
Three's a
it's
Crowd,
like,
right.
even though they... I mean, they weren't probably... They were moderately successful, but huge shows have spin-offs.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
how big that Three's Company
And I
was.
got news for you. Three's Company is one of the only 2 shows I could say that survived the changes of actors. That was your show and MASH. There's only 2 shows that survived that. Most shows can't survive when you start changing the lead actors like that, you know. And that show did.
I know that again has to do with marvelous writing.
Yes.
And it
cast,
additionally has to do with we were theater actors, except really for our blonde roommates and Priscilla Barnes, who became one of my best friends. I just saw Priscilla, well, as you know, a couple of weeks ago. I did not know her before she came on the show, and she, you know, we became great friends and continue to be. But except for our blonde roommates, we were all theater actors.
Yes.
Right.
And so there's a strength that comes from that kind of background that will embrace change and shift. And, you know, all of a sudden, the character that you're supposed to fall in love with every night during this play, you know, has the flu, and the understudy is standing there looking at you. Theater actors, you know, have the background that gives them the strength to embrace something different and lift it and carry it until it can stand on its own. So there's that. We had the good fortune of being theater people with that kind of background.
Right.
And then again, you know, we had these wonderful writers.
Yeah, and a great director, too.
Thank you for saying that you feel that way about
Yeah.
the transitions in the cast in our show.
That's true.
Because I
So
think
true.
that is true. I think the show is equally strong
Yeah.
in each different version of cast.
I think it even got stronger, too, because the characters were so well developed by that time.
Yeah.
One of the best comedies of all time.
Yes.
Period.
It's up there, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Joyce, let me ask you, when you're home now, just a 2-part question. When you're home now and you're watching TV, what do you watch? What makes you laugh nowadays?
Well, I'm a movie-holic, as I started out as a child becoming. And so I pretty much will look for a movie, and if there isn't one, I'll read. I never did, I've never been a network television watcher, which maybe I shouldn't say out loud. There are, however, certain shows that my mommy passed before my dad, and in my father's last later years without mommy, I would fly back every other month and be there with him, and there were certain shows that we watched together. And I still record them,
Right.
or I guess you DVR them these days. And then, if I get around to it, I watch them. And they really have to do with my relationship with my dad and our time together.
Right.
And so Blue Bloods,
Okay.
definitely,
There you
and NCIS. So yes, almost every week I will find some time to watch that one when I've recorded it.
At least you'll get hired by
Madam
CBS
Secretary
now.
is one that I choose to watch, and I'm grateful that they're writing that material. As I was with West Wing, so just brilliant, brilliant material and things
Right.
that I think as Americans we want to be paying attention to without getting beaten over the head by it, but entertained.
Right. Yeah, that's funny.
And most of the series that I watch are on PBS, most of which then came from England, like Midsummer Murders and Death in Paradise and Endeavour. In terms of Netflix, I probably wouldn't have learned how to do it, to get it and use it, if it weren't for all these marvelous British series that I love to watch.
Oh, wow.
So I don't watch a lot of network. I'm trying to think if there's a new one called All Rise. I think it's quite good.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. But at least you'll get hired by CBS because you're mentioning all their
Well, she
shows.
worked there, so might as well go.
Am I okay? And Bull, I'm very much a fan of
That's
Bull.
me. I'm a
I was
CBS
curious
girl.
to see
I watch
how
channels.
DiNozzo was going to transform into another human being, and I thought that they did a wonderful job with his becoming this completely different person.
Yeah.
After one season, you didn't even think of DiNozzo anymore,
Yeah,
even
I'm
though
a
that was a
big,
great character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Bull very much.
When you look at a movie or a TV show, do you look at it for entertainment or do you look at it like critique?
I'm a really good audience. I lose myself into the material completely. That's why I like to go to the movies, at 3 p.m. when the theater's empty, because I really don't want to be bothered. I want to fall inside the film and let the movie take me where it's going to take me. And then I'll think about it after. Unless there's something about it that is not well done, that I can't not be disturbed by. Ordinarily, I watch the show. It has a great deal to do with material. If the script is strong, you can own me until the curtain comes down. I will let you take me.
Yep.
If the script is rickety or spotty, or
get bored.
not up to par, that can really throw me out. Lighting can throw me out as well.
Right.
If the lighting is, I'm like, oh my God, what are they doing? So it's rare for me to become third eye critical, to suddenly step out of the piece and observe it from the technical side. But if I see a really fine film, I very much want to see it again and look at those things.
Right.
I want to see how the cinematographer shot this scene. I will tell you, one of the things that is most mind-blowing to me is that directors of photography, the DPs for film now, want to be called DP instead of cinematographer, which was what they were called for so many years, because that's the magic. That's the magic of why we fall into it and get carried away.
Right.
It has to do with how it's shot.
Definitely, definitely, yeah.
So I don't know why they gave up that title. I would never have done that.
Yeah.
Joyce.
But if it's a B movie instead of an A movie or a B series,
Or porn.
I will get critical. Yes,
Joyce.
unfortunately, my critical mind will come out, and shame on me, but I can't help myself.
We've got to get set up for
No,
the
that's
Suzanne
fine.
Summers interview real quick.
No,
But,
I'm just kidding. Stop it. Joyce, I know you took so much time with us, and
We so appreciate it.
appreciate it. It was more than we could ever ask for, and on behalf of us here on the Animal House Radio Show and to all the servicemen and women on American Forces Network, it was an honor and a
Yeah,
pleasure. And you're welcome to come on anytime. If you got any projects coming up, I do not hesitate to call upon
Or just
us.
feel like calling in and saying hi.
or just to see my next movie, Tied Up in Nuts.
Thank you. Yeah, that's so very gracious. I am delighted to talk to all of you. I didn't know there was going to be such a lovely group on
There's
the other
about
end
7
of
of
the
us
phone.
here.
And I do sincerely apologize. I knew all day My time 6:45 for you 8:40, and then I got home and started unpacking the groceries and thank God you called Linda at my office and they reached me immediately. So I sincerely apologize for having a bit of a brain thing there.
Don't
worry and
about
I'm
it.
grateful
I've been waiting for you for
the
40 years, my
opportunity
friend.
I'm grateful to have the opportunity to speak to the men and women of the armed forces.
Yes, especially.
Indeed, they are precious,
Yep.
Powerful,
Yep.
brave, committed, and we are all grateful that they have chosen to take care of us in the way they do. So thank you for the opportunity
Thank you.
to share with them. Thank
Joyce,
you.
can you do us a favor before you go? Can you do a station ID for us?
Yes. Can you tell me what it is you want me to say?
Yeah, it's kind of long. Just introduce yourself and say you're listening to the Animal House Radio Show on the Hamilton Radio
Okay,
Network.
listening to
The Animal House Radio Show.
Yeah. See, I didn't know until now that was the name of your show.
Yeah.
Animal House. I'm writing this down.
Good.
Radio show
On the Hamilton Radio Network.
on the
Hamilton
Radio Network. Okay.
And I am the
So,
admin.
And do it anytime you want. Do it anytime you want.
Okay. Hi, this is Joyce DeWitt, and you are listening to Animal House Radio Show on the Hamilton Radio Network.
Aw,
Beautiful.
You're
God,
sweet.
Joyce.
So sweet of you. Thank
so
you.
much. God
And the
bless
doors
you.
say hers and hers and
continued
his.
success, and we hope to see you at
Three's
the next
company,
convention
too.
or on TV again in another sitcom real soon.
And thank you for entertaining us
Thank
for so
you.
many years.
Yes.
Oh, so many minutes.
Thank
And happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Sweetheart,
And happy birthday
thank you,
back
and
in
happy
July. I'm
holidays
sorry
to
I
all
missed
of
it.
you.
Yeah. God bless.
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. Joyce DeWitt.
Thank you, dear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was so busy filming my last movie, Complimentary Nuts. I forgot all about your birthday.
All right, enough with the nuts now.
Thanks,
I
Joyce.
haven't
He's
heard
a
that
nut.
ever.
We have a special guest came in.
Yes.
Yes,
Joella. Joella.
No, Daniela.
We call her Joella.
He's calling you Joella.
'Cause that's her middle name. That's the name she's going to use.
Oh, that's-
That's going to be her stage name. Square book. There you go.
Come join us.
Steve's had it. He's done.
He's done. Too many animals for him.
So Daniela, you were next door with Ruben, who's one of the owners of the network, and you're doing a play. Steve, don't go nowhere. Oh, okay. Yeah, where you going?
We'll take a picture up there.
Yes. So you're doing a play with Ruben, but you're a singer by trade.
Yep, actor, singer, dancer.
And what do you like to do? You like to do it all? Or just
Does all three at the same
I
time.
like it to do it all. I consider myself, though, first probably foremost the actress.
Yeah. Okay, that's what you fell in
Yeah.
love with first. That was your first.
I don't know. I love them all the same.
So right now she's acting like she's enjoying herself.
No, actually,
She's
I
good at
just
it. She
I
got
don't
me
really
for-
act. I just like take on different characteristics.
Good.
There you
That's
go.
Like
Oh,
a
yeah,
chameleon.
like
You're
all
a
the other women
chameleon.
I ever met.
Yes, that's what I call myself, a chameleon.
See?
And then
Little
you
bit of
said-
everything.
And then you said your singing style is like R&B. You like?
I like everything, so
Yeah.
I could be from R&B, soul, country, anything.
What's your passion?
To entertain others.
Right.
All right, bingo.
You,
There you go.
you belong here then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who influenced you early on growing up? Like who?
There's a lot of different influences.
What made you say I want to do that? Who did that?
Choice to
I
win.
think it was. To be honest, I don't know.
You don't have to be honest. You can lie.
What's your earliest recollection of seeing somebody?
Why don't you
going,
just act your way
looks
through
like-"
it?
Tony Dell.
No,
from
what's
Leave It to
your,
Beaver.
what's your earliest recollection? A person you saw and said, "Oh, I really like that. I like to do that."
Well,
Well, I saw my father act for the first time when I was
Yeah.
7 years old, and he
There you
plays
go.
Atticus Finch.
Yep.
There you go.
And To Kill a Mockingbird
Yeah.
and an Equity Theater.
That's
and
true.
that's
There
when
you
I
What
was
was that, a
like,
Mexican show? Tequila Mockingbird?
No, it wasn't To Kill a Mockingbird, no.
Oh.
But I could put on different accents too.
You did well. You did well.
Thank you very
It's the
much.
same thing with me. My mother was the stage actress. I was 3 years old. I knew at 3 years old that's what I wanted. So you're right.
Do you have
same
any
thing.
music that's
Yeah.
been put out or not yet? Or
Not yet. I'm working on it. I'm going to
Good.
be going to Canada and New York City in the recording studios.
do you
Good,
write?
good,
do
good,
you
good.
write your own songs too? or-
Just starting to actually,
Good.
but I've been trained classically, and then I moved on to R&B, soul rock.
Good.
That's really. You really have to meet Domini.
yeah, we gotta
Yes,
put her. We
yes.
gotta get.
I do have to.
You know what?
They have to meet.
Get him here for.
You
the
got to
Christmas
hook up a
party.
system.
Yeah.
They
To the
have
Christmas
to
party.
meet.
Come to the Christmas party.
Yeah, our Christmas party is December 18th. If you're around, would you?
So you and your father come
Yeah,
down.
I'll
of
bring your
course, I'll
dad.
be here.
Bring your
Okay,
dad.
That's very good. You,
We'll
bring,
see
you
if
can
she
bring a
can
guest.
come.
Absolutely.
your dad's
as
an
long
old
as
friend.
It's not Tim.
Yeah, they
He
need.
likes
They
me.
need to meet.
He
No.
likes me. He really likes me.
Her father is an old friend of mine. I haven't seen him probably about 40 years, and I recognized him when he walked in tonight.
Wow.
You know each other. You know each
That's
other's embryos.
amazing.
Yeah.
They went to different schools together.
Yes, we did.
He had him at hello.
If he mentions the word drapes,
Yes, that was
No,
actually on the other
don't
day.
go there with.
I was watching it.
This is an innocent,
Danielle,
beautiful
if he
person.
mentions the word drapes, run. No, I'm just kidding. Tim is the sweetest guy you'll ever want to meet. He's
I'm not
harmless.
Swedish.
You are a
You are
meatball.
a meatball.
Oh, well,
But do you have a website or anything that we could all follow you? Instagram?
Well, I do have,
Twitter?
yes, on my Instagram, Danielle Joella.
Danielle
That is a
Joella.
beautiful name. by the way.
Daniela
I
Joella.
was just thinking it's beautiful.
Yes, I was thinking about
Wait, we
doing
could
that.
do a radio show, Gisela and Joella.
Yes.
That flows right
Yes,
off the, yeah.
it does.
J&J.
We can
And
make
you're
a little
Italian,
right.
correct?
Yes, I'm mostly Italian.
And you speak Italian?
Un po'.
Oh, okay.
Little bit, little bit.
Gisela's
Un
from
poco.
Brooklyn, and she's
I'm from Brooklino.
Are you Sicilian, Napolitan, Barese?
I'm a little bit. I got Sicilian in me. I
Just a
got
little bit of
something
rock
from
and roll.
Calabria.
Oh, Calabrese, Barese.
And she's got the music in her too.
Yeah.
Got the music.
Yes,
in
I
it.
do.
I used to
I
be-
just feel
yeah.
the music flow through my body, and I just go with it.
I
it.
got the
That's the
music
best way to
in
be.
me.
It's in the blood.
Did you
Yes.
know that the man sitting to your right is a world-renowned psychic and he's the real deal?
He's for real. He's not a
It
fake.
really is real.
If
He's
you
not
ever
a fake.
want a free reading or if you want to have a bunch of friends over your house to have an arty party,
Yeah, he does. You can look him up.
I do.
He does
For
lap
real.
dances on the side.
Oh,
Remember
wow.
Artie was getting
How
married?
much is
I
this?
do.
Not only will he give you a reading, he'll do your windows.
I can
I
see
used to-
through many things.
I used
can
to be
see
a
your life, I can see
veterinarian.
through your
I
windows.
used to be a veterinarian in Mexico. My practice was called Feliz Navidad.
You just when you invite him over though, you got to have kosher food though. That's what I'm
That's right. Little piggy in the blankets,
The
preferably.
Eggman is literally cracking up.
Artie, do you get any vibes from our young lady Daniela here? Anything? You want to know what
I
color
have to-
sneakers
I
she's
have to,
wearing?
like,
Wait,
get in
do,
the
do you feel a
have to-
Domini? Because you read
Ooh.
Domini.
Well, I told her just now, just the movie
Doesn't
that
she?
saw the other
Yes, I was watching it the other day.
I say things inadvertently.
Yep.
I just want to touch it because there's so much energy here. I'm serious. There's so much energy here. I just want to close my eyes for a second and just. I know.
What the hell you got? Emphysema?
She's
Well, that would be Noxema. Never mind.
one thing that naturally shows with you, and I'm not just saying this to be nice. One thing that naturally shows with you, which will always be expressed throughout your life. You're just a very passionate person. In everything you do,
Yes.
not just acting, in everything you do, you're just a very passionate person. You're very sincere. You don't have to act because it's just who you are, and it just shows naturally. And you also have the attitude, well, this is who I am, take it or leave it. It's like you have that confidence within you, and that you're going to impress a lot of other producers and directors and all. But you do stick out. You do stick
That's
out.
not
I'm
nice.
She's very
That's not
passionate.
nice.
That's right. Yeah,
See the
get
way
back
she
online.
does-
Stop sticking out.
I stick out sometimes.
Yeah, she's very passionate.
No, but she's a very she is. She's a very
laundry.
she's a very passionate. No, she puts
You're
her
putting my
everything
show, I
into
stick out.
everything, and that's just something what I get from you, and I say that spiritually because I don't hang out with you, but
Well, you actually read me pretty well.
no, okay.
I must say.
Yeah. You know, Artie was born in Cairo. He was a chiropractor.
But he lives in denial.
Eddie, hit him with a gong or something.
Yeah, we got to get one.
All right, so let's go.
Can I have the same stuff you've been taking?
Let's
Can I-
get Steve back in here. I want to mention the CD release party again real quick.
Hey, Steve-O, come on in.
So
You can-
Eddie,
you
what
can stay
you
there,
got
stay there,
going on?
Joel,
You,
it's all
you
right.
took a break from the cruise ships and you're just doing regular
Use that microphone
gigs
there with
now?
Yeah, we
Use
jumped
the
off for a minute just to
Steve,
you
use the
know,
mic with
get
Artie.
some
Use
stuff
the mic
done.
with
I got right now. I got a couple of films I'm auditioning. I've auditioned for. It was
Officer
funny.
Polsky?
Yeah, another police role where I end up with a Polish name. I'm still trying to get over that one. But no, I've got about
Plakovich.
Yeah, right.
Plakovich.
I've got a couple of things I auditioned for already, and actually Luke Cage, the guy who played Luke Cage, Mike, he has a show on Channel 2 called Evil on CBS.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah,
I
I'm
freaking love that
gonna be on that
show.
show soon. So
I'm coming.
I'll be on that soon. So yeah, that's.
You know what I
that-
noticed? Did you ever play a bad guy? You're always like a
It's
cop
funny.
or a hero.
I keep asking all the time. I ask my my manager all the time. Like,
said, "Kiss this
I,
cop."
and I'm dead serious. I want to play the guy that
mass
kills
murderer?
the kid and rapes the dog. I want to play that. I want that role.
So you're
I
a
want that
breeder.
role.
You're a breeder.
You want to rape Benji?
I want that role. And it's funny because you know something? It's like, and maybe it's just my age or whatever, but I've got this thing where I watch this young lady. I've been just paying attention. I'm listening to the way she talks and everything. She's young and she's, popping it off, and I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you 100%. I know exactly how you feel at your age right now because that's how I felt. You know what I'm saying? The thing about it is, if you're serious about it, it don't die. I'm 63. It don't die.
it does never go
I go out every day, and it's like my attitude. I mean, when I say it, I'm gonna say it as a joke. I'm tired of it, but I always play the good guy. I'm always the cop. I really would like to get a taste of what it's like to be just
right?
downright evil to the place where I walk out of I do a movie or something. I walk out and somebody hauls up and punches me in the face. I'm dead serious.
I like to play a bad guy with a sick sense of humor.
Do you remember? I don't know if you guys remember about 20 years ago. I did this film with it made Anna Kendrick famous. It was called Camp.
No,
right?
no,
She was a film called Camp. You'll check it out.
Okay.
And the one thing that happened is it's the only time I ever played a role where I wasn't really nice. I was this really mean father. And I must have done a good job because at the Ziegfeld Theater, when we were walking on the red carpet, a woman walked up to me and said, "Excuse me, you're Mr. Mallory." I said, "Yeah," and she slapped me. And to me, that was the greatest compliment. That was the greatest compliment.
Yeah.
That was the great because people are telling like, "Lady, that was a movie," and I said, "Nah, that was cool."
Oh, wow.
I told the cops, "Let her go."
You came off real. That's why.
Yeah, she really thought that I was that much of an abusive father.
Right.
So did you look at her and say, "Yo, bitch"?
Well, no, it crossed my mind. I couldn't say that because I was opening for Andrew Dice Clay at the time, and it was his line.
You know what he did? He raped a dog.
No, and I say this honestly. You got that. It won't go if you're serious. It won't go away.
Eddie, I always love when you come in, and I know you don't always get a chance to come here, but you have an open door, and
always.
congratulations on your new home.
I appreciate it.
And he always loves when I leave.
Yeah.
But it's always good to catch up with you.
Appreciate it, man. And I like every time I come in, there's always something different that happens. And tonight I got a funny feeling.
What do you think?
I'm not a
in
psychic, but I got a funny
studio?
feeling I'm in the presence of talent. You
are.
I'm in the presence.
So the other times you're not.
Serious
So
talent.
the other times you're
I
not.
got this gut feeling.
Eddie, and other times you're not. Is that what you're saying?
No, you. I cut my
mad at
teeth
you.
under this guy. Don't even get me started. I cut my teeth under this guy. But no, it's the second time.
There was something that you said earlier, that I could relate to a lot because
Was that B+?
Because when I was in my late 20s, I attempted to be stand-up. I thought that's what I was going to be. I wasn't into the psychic thing at the time, and I thought that's what I was going to be. So my ex-mother-in-law, hence ex, my ex-mother-in-law said,
got a couple of
"So
those.
Artie," she was like being like coy with me. So, she goes, "So how long are you going to keep this up? Like how much time are you going to give this?" I said, "Forever."
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop.
But you knew it at that time, and
And
you don't
then- yeah,
understand.
you don't
you
stop.
have a lot of
Can't hold that
confidence,
mic. Can't put it
but
in the
she
stand.
still doesn't really quite understand. You have something that everybody else can see, and even though you have it, you don't even know you have it. Trust me, we can see it.
Yes.
People can see it. You got something.
Especially people like us who've been in the business a long time.
Tim, what do
Yeah, you got
coming
something,
up?
kid.
Station Bar and Grill with Mike Bonner Friday night, and then Saturday night, Greenwich Village Comedy Club.
And for those that the holidays are coming up, if you need any kind of specially made item created, jewelry, ornaments,
Cosmetics.
centerpieces for your next event.
Call Steve Keller.
Gisela is the one you want. She's got a
Yeah, call Steve Keller.
Oh, that'll get him
He'll
revved
hook
up
you
for
up.
my
I'll
two
bring him right
shows.
over.
if you call Steve Keller, all you would get is a transgender turtle.
Gisela has like a whole store in the house, man. It's
You
beautiful.
remind
Beautiful
me I
stuff.
live in a shell.
Transgender
She's
turtle.
got a boutique out of her
It's great
home.
stuff. Great stuff.
And I mean, she sits there for hours just creating stuff. She's got stuff for if you want something thoughtful for your teacher.
She'll make a
or
custom
neighbor,
made.
or something you want to go really big. And she's got stuff priced to fit every budget. And it's GiselaBella.com.
GiselaBella.com.
And on Facebook, it's
Facebook also, yes.
Yep.
Gisela Bella's
Just look
unique
me up.
Boutique.
unique boutique, and definitely come. And I want to thank. I know I did this yesterday. Carol Burnett, what an
Yeah.
amazing interview. Billy Gibbons last week with Keller as the wingman. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have known half of this stuff because he's got so much knowledge about
And
stuff.
for the young lady, Carol Burnett yesterday gave advice out there. Just keep that burning desire.
Yeah.
Keep that passion going.
Yeah.
because
Well, a very
you'll
wise
definitely get
man
your
named
break.
Paul Veneer once said to me, he goes, timing provides you your break, talent will provide you your longevity.
That's true.
All right.
Yeah.
Paul, what do you got coming up?
The next time I'm doing a show for the public will be the 30th this month, which is Thanksgiving weekend. That's Saturday in Seaside Heights at EJ's.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing a long show. I'm doing a long show, so come on down.
A long show.
9 hours?
So Rip has no dates coming up, but they're working hard in the studio.
Yes, we're writing some new material, and we're taking a couple months on the low.
Steve and I are going to write a song together.
We are. We were talking about that tonight. It's going to be a Veneer Keller track. But we'll be back soon, and depending on who gives any offers, I'll decide if we're going to do any shows immediately. But I'm waiting for the right show.
And the next album is called Baby Back Ripped.
And
You are the Eggman.
if anybody wants to buy Artie's book, Angels and Answers, you can go to artiehoffman.com,
baby. Yeah.
and if
that's
they
right.
want an Artie party, you
baby?
can hire him. And he does
Just
the show.
email me, artiehoffman@gmail too.
And then on
Every
Sunday
Sunday.
nights, 8 o'clock.
Every Sunday night, I do my Facebook Live show. I do free readings every Sunday night at 8 p.m. I read for I connect to people's loved ones who have passed away, and I tell people about their future. And oh my God, I've been getting so many testimonials. What's really cool is like I'm looking at the camera, and people are asking me questions, and I'm just saying stuff. I don't get response back.
Hey, Artie.
And I'm just praying like hell that I'm right. And the next day, people say, "Oh my God, Artie, this is what they said. This is what their numbers were." And this is like when they say to me, "Artie, I could now sleep for the first time in years because I know that they're okay."
This is a Beauty Rest commercial?
And it's unbelievable.
Hey,
It
He sells the
really is.
Posturepedic mattress.
I love it.
Hey, Artie, while you're
just
at it.
yeah, check it out. Artie Hoffman
Oh, you
at
can't fucking hear
Gmail.
me?
Give me a shout.
Is
Is that
Hey,
Ruben?
Artie.
Yes, Ruben.
Hey, while you're at it, since you could teach people how to read, you should show Carlo how to read too while you're at it.
He's busting your chops.
Everybody's a comedian.
How about our favorite guitarist up there, Mr. Tilted, man? What you got coming up?
Steve Cavaco.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. This was a great night. Thank you so much for
I hope you feel we did you justice today.
Absolutely. Thank you. We have our album release party, Full Speed Ahead. That's going to be Saturday.
Hey, right when I'm having my manual release party.
That'll be Saturday, November 30th at the Brighton Bar in Long Branch. If you guys can come out on a Saturday night, we go on about 10. Three other bands that we all know and love in the scene will be supporting us. Again, Saturday, November 30th, Brighton Bar, Tilted.
Excellent.
And we have three words
That's
tonight.
a Long Branch.
The 3 words of the week: remiss, slighted, and ample.
And then Daniela, would love to have you come back one night.
Yes, I would love to.
But
Real, I want to see your dad.
Put that date in your book, December 18th, Christmas
Yes,
party.
you got it.
I like the 3 words that Paul jotted, but I love the whole thing that teaches people how not to be a hostage. I love it.
Well, it's true.
Don't go out.
Step number 1. Don't go out.
Don't make me call Colonel Vici right now.
Hey, he's got great
Anyway, that's the show.
Colonel Vici.
Say good night.
Good night.
We'll see you all next week. This is the Animal House Radio Show.
Happy Eggman. No.
Hey, Joyce was laughing at my stuff. She was laughing.